Good. Press record. Are we going?
We're going.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to, welcome to another podcast, but it's not an alpha cast. This is another movie special. So you can file it over next to our Fast and the Furious cast, our Hellraiser cast.
I forgot we did the Fast and the Furious one.
Our Terminator cast.
Because nobody listened to it.
Yeah. Which one? The Fast and Furious
Fast
cast?
and Furious.
Yeah, people listen to it.
People like the Hellraiser one.
Yeah. Well, sick fucks out there. If people just don't like the bro love, the Fast and Furious movies. He announced another 3 movies. They're going to be Fast and Furious movies forever.
And they're all exactly 2 years apart.
Tupac Too Furious. I was trying to remember that joke I made before. Okay. So what are we doing? We hadn't done a podcast in a really long time. We've been working on projects.
Website
stuff. So I guess we'll plug that really quick. So you can go to alpharookie.com now. You can just head there. We have a website. It's a URL. I don't know. It's all the same stuff there as it is on the YouTube site, but eventually there'll be content that's exclusive to there. But not yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's an About Us paragraph. That's new. You can go read that. We'll have a video About Us section, like a video saying what we're about later in the future whenever Kyle gets around to it.
Can we get going on this podcast?
Yeah, it's fucking late. All right. So Bone Tomahawk. That was one of my favorite movies this year. I feel like I've been bugging you to watch it for a really long time. And you finally got around to watching it. And to my great pleasure, you liked it. If you hadn't liked it, that would have really hurt my feelings.
So what are we doing today?
So we were going to do a podcast on Bone Tomahawk per your suggestion.
Because it's new, we enjoyed it, and we want people to know about it.
And we could easily do Kurt Russell was in 2 Westerns this year in Hateful Eight, but I mean, you know what Hateful Eight is. You don't not know what that is. You either saw it or you have an opinion on it or you're thinking about seeing it, but you may not have heard about Bone Tomahawk since it's such a smaller movie. So we're going to talk about it. And then we're also going to talk about, at least for a little bit, Tombstone, because while we were talking about Bone Tomahawk, I found out you had never seen it before. So you can call this the Kurt Russell Western triple feature podcast, I guess, but we're not really going to talk about Hateful Eight. We're just going to talk about Bone Tomahawk. Sound good?
So let's go chronological order.
Okay. That's how you want to do it? You don't want to do it
Let's start Tombstone.
All right.
Bone Tomahawk.
All right.
And we'll end with Hateful Eight.
All right, sounds good.
So
I've seen Tombstone a million times. You're the one that's never seen it before.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't start getting into westerns till I was my late 20s. I still don't like spaghetti westerns. I like American West, slower riding horses on the outback.
But more modern ones, so not necessarily like John Wayne and stuff. You mean what? Like later Clint Eastwood westerns or?
Yes. I'm more interested in not the crazy shootouts and just more into the the movie takes place in the Old West.
Yeah.
Or not Old West, but think Assassination Jesse James.
Which is your favorite movie. So
yeah.
It's a modern western.
No. It's the best movie ever made.
And the best movie ever made.
It's not my favorite movie.
Right.
It's the best movie ever made.
Right. Because you like it. Because it's your favorite.
It's not my favorite movie.
Oh, okay.
Goonies is my favorite movie.
Oh, okay. But definitely not the best movie ever made.
No, The Goonies is not the best movie ever made. It's good.
What other modern western do you like that's not Jesse James?
I like Tombstone.
Okay, besides
I like
Tombstone.
Bone Tomahawk.
All right, well, fair enough. Three makes it a rule, right? Okay, so you hadn't seen Tombstone until just now. I watched this movie when I was a kid constantly. I don't know why. Maybe we had a VHS copy or something like that, but we watched it all the time.
Wait, as far as I can't think of all the I've seen too many movies, so I'm what westerns have I seen? So you mentioned Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven.
Yeah, one of the best ever.
And of course, Back to the Future 3, a real western.
Also one of the best ever.
A real western.
Yeah.
Actually, it is a real western.
It totally is a real western.
It is. What else? Why can't I think of anything right now?
The Quick and the Dead. Just kidding. What about Appaloosa?
Yes, I liked Appaloosa.
Did you like Appaloosa?
Yeah.
Aww.
I think I did.
I'm happy you're my friend. With Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like bromance. Total
Viggo Mortensen, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
I like that.
Okay.
See, and I watched that because I must have watched something else that made me want to start watching westerns, which probably just Jesse James.
Did you like 310 to Yuma? Because I thought it was really
Yes, I really liked 310
You
to
liked
Yuma.
it and I didn't like it.
I did like that. That's where I was like, Kurt Russell's not just a prick actor. I actually can enjoy not Kurt Russell, sorry.
The Australian guy? The Australian guy and British guy starring in the western?
How does his name of
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Christian Bale very much, but I like Russell Crowe. And then he's in Body Lies, whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, I started getting into the more modern, cleaner looking Western movie.
Sure.
And it's not a lot of kids I had a fantasy as growing up. I wanted to ride horses and engines and all that. I don't really get off on that shit. I kind of just like the setting, the atmosphere. And boy, do I never want to fucking live in the Old West.
No, who would?
It's way too much work.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole to me, like, without getting into it, zombie movies are the new Western, and people are like, ooh, like, without even admitting it, they're like, oh, I want to live in like a, no, I want to live in like a zombie apocalypse so I can run around the frontier with guns. That's essentially why people are like, really like Walking Dead. But that would be awful. It would be fucking horrible.
It would
be a miserable existence.
It'd be fun as a VR experiment. It's like, could I survive in this world?
Which is why it's in fucking video games.
But I don't want to actually do it. Right.
Yeah. So, for me, I like all modern westerns. I do like spaghetti westerns.
I know you.
I got into them that way because Tarantino talks about it, and you get into it that way. So, you get the good, the bad, the ugly. Once Upon a Time in the West. Watched a little bit of like Sergio Corbucci. I got way into it. I could start listing movies you've never heard of, because you go down the rabbit hole a little bit. But I've never watched any of the classic westerns, like actual like American westerns. Like I haven't seen really a lot of John Wayne movies or anything. I've seen The Searchers, which is a classic. But
speaking of John Wayne movies, Back to the Future 3 has a good John Wayne joke because it's like that at that point in time it's 1955.
Yeah.
And their idea of westerns are like John Wayne and shit.
Right.
Where he's like, these weren't a fucking pink cowboy shirt.
Yeah,
right? It's like, no, you don't wear this shit for real. That's kind of probably what it is for me. Is I wanted to see something that's not more authentic,
right?
But maybe something that's a little bit more based in reality than like a fantasized, not fantasized, or what do you call it? Like
romanticized.
Romanticized, yeah. A romanticized version of the Old West. It's like, no, this is fucking dirty and grimy.
Yeah.
These guys are missing teeth. Like, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Tombstone. So
okay.
yeah, you watched it a bunch of times growing up, and
I haven't seen it in a really long time. So I'll tell you like kind of what it was like for me to come back to it. But maybe you could talk about what it was like watching it for the first time.
Kurt. So man, I mean, obviously I'm a big Kurt Russell fan. I enjoy The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China and shit like that. And when I first saw him, I had to do a double take of like, what year was this made?
Yeah.
Because he's so goddamn thin.
Right.
And I thought, is this like pre all the other movies that I've seen him in? Like, no, it's actually 10 years after The Thing. He's so skinny and fit. Like, he reminds me of, and David, God, it's too many people's names. Michael Biehn's in it.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of Michael Biehn in Terminator.
A lot of people are in this movie.
Right, but he reminds me of
Yeah, I hear you.
You know how, like, we talked about in the Terminator podcast we
John
did.
Connor.
He's, no.
Who?
Kyle Reese.
Oh, Kyle Reese. Fuck me. Yeah.
Our brains are dead right now.
I know, right? We've been working a lot today already.
Of like a skinny, really scrappy, he looks authentic.
Yeah.
He's not buffed up. The other thing about this is, of course, what I did after I finished the movie and I loved it and everything was I'm going to go do research on Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp because I knew nothing about them other than OK Corral.
Yeah.
It's fun to like, oh shit, and I'm on to like learning the history about it afterwards. So I enjoyed it.
So I don't know how historically accurate it is. They made a what's his face? Oh God, Tin Cup Waterworld. Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner made a movie just called Wyatt Earp. Not like in the same year, but like close enough that like these two movies constantly got compared.
Yeah.
And that one was supposed to be like the more realistic historical accounting or whatever of his life. It's fucking boring. Nobody likes that movie. And I haven't met a single person yet that's like, oh, Wyatt Earp's way better than Tombstone. Nobody gives a shit. Well, everybody would rather watch Tombstone.
As far as I watched some of the special features and everything afterwards, and this is billed as like a more authentic version.
Really?
Actually, the idea that like, so most movies, and so you think like this was 93. These guys grew up watching Western. The guys that are in the movie. And they were actually knowledgeable because you could tell they probably had watched this shit when they were younger. And so they knew who had played Wyatt Earp before and things like that. And even I learned that like Wyatt Earp died in 1923, like pretty late into the 20th century. And one of the actors who was kind of famous for playing Wyatt Earp was at his funeral.
Yeah, they mentioned that at the end of Tombstone.
And I'm thinking 23, damn, movies have been being made for a long time.
Right.
Like Westerns have been made since fucking the dawn of the 20th century, it seems like, which is surprising to me. I think of movies as like The Jazz Singer and things like that, like some of the first talkies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even farther back than I realized. So they seem to know like generally Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday were played as a very complicated relationship or kind of frenemies in a way.
Right.
And this one was like, nah, man, they're just like
total bros.
They're bros, right? Yeah. Things like that. The fight at the OK Corral was much more authentic as far as the research shows. So it seems like at this point in time, this was like, nah, man, we're doing them justice. This is what really happened.
Right.
I can't speak on Kevin Costner's movie or anything else, or even these older movies. But from what they said, the research and things like that, this is actually pretty close to like what really happened.
Yeah.
The order, the amount of people, things like that. So Tombstone.
It's got 1 million people in it. That was like, you mentioned Michael Biehn, and that just kind of made me then think of all the fucking people in this movie.
Right, which it makes me think about Ridley Scott and Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, that's
how
another.
he has so many actors in it that went on to become all of them fucking famous.
Right.
And these are all some of their beginning roles and shit. It's like it takes a good director to spot, I know you've got something, you've got something. Now in this case, all these guys were already established.
Right.
But it's kind of like, oh, I know. I saw him in another movie. I didn't know he was in Tombstone. I didn't know. Everyone's in fucking Tombstone.
This is a great cast. Like, if you said you were making a Western and you just started listing off all these people in the cast, you'd be like, that's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I definitely want to watch
It's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Very much.
So it's got a cool score. I really like the score. It's one you can whistle and you can hum after you're done watching it. So really good lines. Kurt Russell, just this being a badass in the whole first half of the... Well, like, that stuff is a little funny later. But, his just, like, going into the saloon and, like, making that guy... Like, he doesn't know who Wyatt Earp is, but he goes in and just slaps him. It's just, throw down, boy,
That was good shit.
What are you going to do? Just stand there and bleed? There's some good fucking
I like the idea there. So what we're going to get into is, yes, we're going to spoil the movie. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about our reactions to it. So if you haven't seen it, you're going to know what happens. If you have seen it, enjoy hearing someone else talk about it. If not, go watch it first, come back, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's start from the beginning. I know we're not going to summarize it too much, but I want to talk about the parts, whatever. So they come into town trying to get rich.
Tombstone is a booming...
So they found silver in Arizona.
Yeah, silver mine.
So it's a boom town. It's Kurt Russell playing Wyatt Earp, and then his two brothers.
Virgil and I can't remember. Morgan, yeah.
Which is Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
And then the other guy's name I don't remember, but
he's never... It's Sam... I want to say Sam too, but I can't remember. It's Sam something.
That's Virgil.
Don't hate me.
Yeah.
He's like a big deal.
Yeah. So they come in. They're no longer lawmen. They've had their hand being lawmen and shit, and they're here to make money off a boomtown. And then they're just going to try to like kind of retire and move off into the sunset and enjoy life.
Yeah.
They're there with their women. They're married. And like you said, the first thing is like he goes to work immediately. He's like, where can I fit in here? Where can I make money?
Yeah.
Going right to that saloon that no one goes to, and I'm knocking that fucker out that people don't like, and I'm going to be the new dealer at the table.
He's essentially kind of like the mafia. He basically comes in and goes like, I'll protect your establishment if you pay me.
Yeah. And he doesn't carry a gun.
No.
It's a very important part that he's like, I'm done with a gun. I don't carry a gun anymore. Whereas like this is the Old West. Everyone carries a fucking gun, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, nope, I've carried a gun. I've obviously killed men, whatever. Not for me.
Yeah.
And then, he goes in the bar, and that guy's like, you want to start some shit? And he goes to grab his gun. He's pull the fucking gun out.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if someone ever told you, go ahead and pull it out, you're thinking, should I pull it out? Because he seems like he's ready to go.
Yeah.
This might be a bad idea. And then he starts fucking slapping the guy.
Speaking of just people in this movie, that guy in that small scene that gets slapped around is fucking Billy Bob Thornton.
I saw his name in the credits, and I was like, I don't remember seeing him.
Yeah, he's just like, he gets slapped around by Kurt Russell for a little while, and that's his part of the movie. Billy Zane is in the fucking movie.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that.
So fucking random.
But yeah, that's like, he smacks him and his mouth starts bleeding. He just says, what, are you going to stand there and bleed?
Yeah.
That establishes that character right off the fucking bat.
Right.
And at that point, I was like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking bass.
Yeah.
And I've watched enough like Westerns kind of movies now where it's kind of like, there's that one guy who's the superhero, right?
Yeah.
And I always get excited to see what he fucking does. And at this point, I go, oh, that's him. He's the fucking superhero of the movie. I mean, I obviously knew Wyatt Earp's a big name, but he's got skill in the way that he's just fucking whoop, boop, bam. Oh, shit. Like, he just slapped that fucking guy.
So, Kurt Russell's obviously amazing. You just established, like, his presence in this film. Like, the reason to watch this movie is a Kurt Russell headliner.
Yes.
But the guy who threatens to steal the show is Val Kilmer.
Or
not for you so much.
Okay, so in a way, but his character is it's different.
I feel like most everybody's favorite lines of the things that people remember about the movie are Doc Holliday centered.
I could get this. Yes,
people,
Val Kilmer's playing Doc
Tombstone,
Holliday.
somebody's going to say, I'm your Huckleberry or something.
Yeah, I get that. So yeah, Val Kilmer is Doc Holliday. I guess Val Kilmer's, just because he played Batman, he's got like a...
He did.
And, that's, everyone's going to remember him as like a horrible-ass Batman, and that's what he's going to get, When I saw him in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang,
right,
I was like, oh, fucking Val Kilmer. I was like, oh, shit, I like Val Kilmer.
Yeah, no, he's
it's
good.
Just, you forget because that whole Batman era,
right,
he just has a splotch on his...
Well, as a person, he's apparently a horrible fucking human being.
That too. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was like his comeback to, like, I could do this again.
Nobody wanted to work with his ass.
Right.
But I think he's great here.
He has the thin little
southern,
mustache.
Everybody's got the Western accent, but he's got the Southern accent.
Which is another thing they said that was also a thing why this movie was different, because normally he's not played like that.
Right.
Or he was never played like that before. There was a chance to see him be a Southern gentleman.
Yeah. But he's sort of cheats at gambling. He drinks. He certainly killed people as well. He robs. He's a thief. So how is he friends with fucking like one of the most famous lawmen in history? They have, I don't know. I think
he helped him track someone down in Texas.
Did they?
So
what did they say in the movie though? They didn't ever spell it out in the movie. I feel like they just said like they made it kind of just seem like Kurt Russell saved my life at one point.
Kind of, yeah, something like that. and he helped me. I think he said he helped me find a man, and like they
clearly owe each other favors, or not in a way that they feel
developed
beholden,
a friendship
but...
during the last. They went on a ride together, right? And they obviously developed a friendship, but they're tense at times.
Yeah.
Like the idea that we're not best friends, but we owe each other.
Well, what was it Kurt Russell said? He makes me laugh. Why do you keep him around, Wyatt? And he said, he makes me laugh. Obviously, it's more than that, but I think also that Kurt Russell just gets a kick out of it, you know? Like, why do you tolerate this guy? Well, because you like him.
Yeah.
I like him. Oh, he's a fucking loser. Who cares, man? He makes me laugh.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's funny because the first time they see each other is after he just slapped the shit out of that one guy.
Yeah.
And they're just talking in the street with Morgan and Virgil side by side, and the fucking guy comes back after, what did he make him give him his gun? Or he gave the gun to the bartender.
Right.
He took the gun off the bad dealer, gave it to the bartender, and Kurt Russell's just like walking outside again going, okay, now I'm the dealer.
Yeah.
I'm going to start dealing the cards, and I'm going to make money. Guy comes back with a fucking shotgun. He's ready to just blow Kurt Russell away, and he sees Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
And he sees him talking to Doc Holliday, and the guy just goes, hey, Doc.
And they just ignore him. Like, he's just, he almost like goes away, just, all right, I guess I'll just go then. Like, it's just nobody pays him any mind at all.
Well, because he knows that, like, if he tries to take a shot, Doc's going to just, basically he realized Doc and him are friends, and everyone knows Doc's like the fastest hand in the West, kind of.
Yeah, and that's kind of, beyond just their characters, it's kind of, just like in video game terms, essentially. You have Kurt Russell, who's like, he's the tough guy, he's got bravado, he's the superhero, he's Captain America, but Doc Holliday is fast, Like, if Kurt Russell was going to draw down with Doc Holliday would win.
Yeah.
Like, that's, so maybe Doc Holliday cannot do things that Kurt Russell can do, but one thing Kurt Russell can't do is outdraw Doc Holliday.
You know how he carries his gun, like, in the front, like the non-traditional? That's another one thing about this movie. Is they said, if you look at, also the way people dress, this is one of the first Westerns where they said, look at...
They didn't look like typical cowboys.
Well, so they said, a lot of film producers didn't understand, like, you look at all these old, actual photos from the West, Old West, and they're, like, all sepia tone and brown. So they thought everyone just wore brown, tan, and gray.
Right.
Turns out those clothes were fucking bright. They were red.
Right.
They were pink and purple and shit, but they're not like John Wayne's. So that's why, like, the red sashes, the colorful, the purple ties.
Yeah.
That's how they really they dressed back then. They had silk.
Right.
They also wore their guns up really high.
Right.
They didn't actually wear them all super low.
Well, it makes sense. It's closer. It's less time your hand has to come down.
So he has that one right in front of his stomach that he can grab without even reaching down.
Right.
It's pretty authentic, actually. It's not just a ploy for the movie. That's how he's able to draw.
He always has another gun he's just holding behind his back before he even gets involved.
I like guys like that kind of go into something where they know they're the badass, but they kind of play the Batman rules of
course.
I will play dirty if I have to win or to survive.
Yeah.
I will play dirty.
He's a Han Solo style character,
Yeah.
Like he's a rogue, like he'll cheat, he's not going to play fair. He's just great. He's a good character.
Yeah.
All of them are good characters, but like those two are definitely the stars of the show.
Yes, and they're the bromance of the movie.
Right.
Horrible word to use, but whatever.
Even those actual brothers are there in the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the guy's just like the shotgun, just at this point, like you said, they're just ignoring him. You heard that noise, right? Anyways, they just ignore him. He's just sitting there with the shotgun, and they just ignore him completely.
Yeah.
And then at a point, he just looks over and goes, "Oh, I forgot you were still here."
This is kind of just...
they're showing how fucking bravado they are.
Yeah, and it's just like, I've been through enough shit. Like, I just have a spidey sense about, like, what's actually danger.
Right.
And I know how to get out of it, or when I'm in danger, and when I'm out of it, or how to avoid it, right? So they just walk into this town, even though this town is, quote, dangerous, because you see within the first few scenes, there are these two guys that come out of the bar, and they shoot each other.
Yeah. It was legal. It was
legal, right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have this roving band of... organized crime, I guess, they just call themselves the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And they all have these red sashes, and they just suck. They're just assholes. They're a gang. But it's funny because, like, they're not doing anything. It's funny because the movie actually, I don't know if it says in the voiceover or in the intro text or whatever, but it does compare them to, like, not the mafia, but like the earliest form of American organized crime.
Yeah.
It said something like that. It's just funny because it's like, how are they making, there's no enterprise. Like, they're just literally just riding around being assholes. Like, just basically just, we're just going to go in here and kill people and rape the women and, we're going to eat the food.
Yeah.
But like, there's no... like, they're essentially just bandits. They're barbarians. They're like roving.
Right, but at the same time, they bring good business to the town in a way.
Well, sure, because there's a lot of them, right? So they frink with the saloons. They gamble in the things. There's one point where
But like, why would they pay for anything? Wouldn't they just run the?
That's what I mean. I don't get it. You know, I don't quite understand it. But that's
like, wouldn't they just go there and just take what they want and then never pay for anything?
Yeah, this kind of seems like what
the guys
it is.
like they bring good business.
Right.
Why? I wouldn't want to be there.
Right.
If I knew they were there.
You would think that they would they're just not smart enough to be. Kurt Russell did just go in and be like, I'm going to protect you now. And you're going to pay me.
Yeah.
Like just basically what the mafia does.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Regardless, it's the way that scene plays out, and they ignore the guy, and then Kurt Russell just goes. Basically, they go like, "Get out of here! Leave the gun."
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "Okay," and he goes to give the guy. He goes to give Kurt Russell the gun, and he goes, "I said leave it. Like, don't give it to me. Just put it on the fucking ground and walk away."
Right.
Jesus, man. At this point, I go like, in history, at this year, these men are basically already legends.
Right.
So you're getting to see the aftermath of like not how they got famous
right.
or why they're famous. This is like, oh fuck, this guy's fucking famous. Like, oh shit. And it's cool because they don't care.
Yeah.
My name has been established. I don't have to do anything to prove myself. I just am a badass.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's kind of nice.
Your reputation being preceded and whatnot.
This isn't an origin story or
no.
a dark reboot or some shit. It's just, this is what already happened after the fact.
Right.
So yeah, you mentioned the Cowboys.
Yeah, so the Cowboys suck.
They're just a group of 100 outlaws who got together and made a huge fucking gang.
Yeah.
And they wear red sashes so you know who they are.
Yeah, which makes it real easy to hunt them down and shoot them.
Yeah.
As we'll see later. Okay, so
and Powers Booth is
like the head gang member,
and he's
the
so
head cowboy.
He's got so much panache.
Oh, he's great.
So that's where you go like, okay, how are these guys bringing business to a town, right?
Yeah.
These aren't just gangsters. These are guys who have personality and flair, and they're actually kind of fun to be around,
right?
Unless they want to kill you.
Right.
So, like you said, they go to the town. Yeah, they're having parties. They're bringing people in. They're having a good time as long as you don't piss them off.
Right.
So maybe they aren't that bad, but if they want something, they're just going to steal it.
Yeah, or if they get too drunk, they're just going to start shooting at people.
Yes. But, like he said, like he would go to a bar and just be like, all the drinks are on me, everybody.
Right.
And throw money in the air. You know, they were kind in a weird Robin Hoodish kind of way.
Right.
But just don't get on their bad side kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, you got them. You got Michael Bean. He's Johnny Ringo.
Yeah, so he's like kind of the mirror Doc Holliday, where he's not the leader. He's not the obvious leader.
The actual fastest draw in the West. He's the one who's legendary as far as being, he's the fastest one. And
he's like slightly educated. You know, there's a whole scene between him and Val Kilmer, you know, where they start speaking Latin to each other.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Oh, he reminds me of me." So like in case you couldn't tell that they're supposed to be similar, they spell it out for you.
Val Kilmer I'll say Doc Holliday. He is the most passive aggressive asshole.
Yeah.
Because he tries to, we're still friends.
Yeah.
You won't be my friend anymore?
Right.
Like, just, whoa, dude, you're an asshole, but you're also not being a complete asshole.
Right.
Yeah, so
him and
Johnny Ringo, obviously, you already see from the beginning, there's going to be a point where they have to have almost like a walk 10 paces, turn and draw kind of thing, because they're both the best.
They've been setting it up the whole movie.
Yeah, and I love Val Kilmer. I'm just going to call Val Kilmer. Fuck it, Doc Holliday, whatever. His nickname is Lunger.
Well, they just call him Lunger because that's what they would call people that had tuberculosis. Yeah.
And so when I first started the movie, I was going to text you going, why the fuck is his makeup make him look like he's dead?
Right.
And then I realized he's probably going to be sick at some point. He's just drinking a lot. Like, oh no, he's got TB. Which
is why he goes out to Arizona. The air is drier and it's supposed to be better for your condition.
And in his world, he has a death wish, or he's on his, not deathbed, but he's going to die soon.
The funny thing is that there is a aspect of him that does not want to just like die or like ride it out. Like the doctor, like he passes out or whatever, and the doctor comes in and tells him like, you know, who knows how long you're gonna live, but you need to knock it off with all this fucking smoking and drinking fucking shit.
Yeah.
And he actually, once the doctor leaves, says like, I think I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. And then his girlfriend, who's this like Hungarian, very sultry partner in crime.
Yeah.
I guess like it's in her best interest for him to continue being that way because that's how she makes money with him, I guess, or something.
Or she probably loves him too. Like that's
the man she loves is that person, and she doesn't want to. Maybe she just can't handle seeing him like, you know, boring. Yeah. But she's basically just like, oh no, don't do any of those things the doctor said. Here, let me suck your dick, and you know,
quite literally, and drink this alcohol.
Well, drink this alcohol, then smoke this cigarette, and then I'll smoke your dick, or smoke your dick. Well, she does smoke his dick.
I was gonna say that's fine. It's good language.
So, yeah, I mean, we can pretty much tell, like, he's probably not going to make it, you know, like.
But the idea there is that he's not afraid of death because he's already going to die.
Of course not.
So he's willing to challenge anybody and anything. So when you have a thing like 100 outlaws who are causing a ruckus, he's willing to be one of the guys like, well, if you're going to stand up, I'll fucking stand up. I mean, I'm going to die soon anyways.
Yeah, I mean, his whole character arc is can I find self-respect and dignity before I die?
Yeah.
And Kurt Russell is more about what do I need to find? Why am I going to continue? Like, what does life mean to me? What am I doing?
It's kind of interesting because you watch this Western and what it really comes down to is not a cool shootout and all this stuff. I mean, that stuff happens, but the crux of it is, what does Wyatt Earp want out of his life?
Right. So this is the part for me.
Does he really want to settle down and have kids? Does he still like to be a lawman? Unfortunately, he tried to give it up, but it's like the fucking explosive, the EOD movie.
Hurt Locker,
right? Like, he just can't. He needs that life to.
I don't know if it's that so much. I mean, the movie seems like. So I don't know the actress's name, but there's a girl in the movie who's actually an actress, literally an actress.
Dana Delaney.
Okay, and she's supposed to be like oh shit, like I love my.
So when they see each other for the first time in the movie, and then later on, Bill Paxton, I think, is Morgan's kind of asking him like, if you saw her, would you let it go, whatever? And he's like, I would ignore her.
No, Doc Holliday says that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
And then he turns around and she says, may I have this dance? And he just turns his back to her and he goes, well, I stand corrected, Wyatt. You are an oak, or something like that.
You are an oak. Yeah. Fucking oak tree, right? But that's the first time they met. It seemed like when they first see each other and the way he asked them that, they must have had a history.
Well, there's no.
Or is it just because
she comes out of her stagecoat and she's talking to Billy Zane and she's just like, who's that? And the guy, not Billy Zane, but the guy who plays the sheriff. And, that's Wyatt Earp, and tells me, and she's like clearly like smitten.
Yeah.
And she actually says something to the effect of like, I want one, So they do establish she has like a crush on him.
But they made it seem like they had a history together and like, oh no, I'm married now, I can't be around you. But no, they've never met before.
No, I think what I was going to say is that this to me is the weak link in the movie. Like, just this whole relationship between him and her, it's sort of like...
Because he fell in love at first sight, basically.
And it's also just kind of... Basically, women have no place in this movie. Like, it's not about that. And the movie was so not interested in that at all. It was like, okay, yeah. Okay, let's get back to the cool, like, manly shit.
Well, speaking of, like, they interviewed Dana Delaney as the actress, she's saying, like, this movie shows that, like, in the Old West, it's a man's world.
Yeah.
They have to go be macho and ride horses and feel good about themselves and shoot things. And really, she's like, unfortunately, women have to be tough because they have to deal with that, but they don't stand anywhere in society. It's a man's world right now.
I mean, Kurt Russell, the movie did a very good job of just like, yeah, sure, it's totally okay to just like completely forget about your wife and just leave her and go run off with this lady.
That's what I was wondering. Is it like he has a history of cheating, so that's why he's like, oh, there's a beautiful woman. Can you not cheat on your wife, who has an opium addiction.
Right.
And she's fucked up.
Yeah, the movie just did not have to make that hard for you at all. You were just like, yeah, she's a fucking drag. Yeah. She's just a fucking drag. Like, why would he stay with her?
He's trying to fool himself into, I want to sit down life. I want to make a bunch of money, retire,
right.
and have kids with somebody.
I'm just saying,
I realized, no, it would have been
a little bit more challenging if she wasn't an opiate addict. Like, I'm saying historically she may have been, but if it actually had been about him settling down versus like, oh, I know I want to lead an adventurous life.
Yeah.
His actual wife would have been like, she would have been nice. She would have been like, oh, don't leave her. She's nice.
Yeah.
Right. But the whole thing would have been like, Wyatt, no, we're not going to go traveling. Let's settle down. Like, that would have been the thing. But it was like, she's a fucking bummer, opiate addict, drug addict, like just sniffling. Wyatt, like, why the fuck would you ever want to be with her?
Yeah.
It was a very easy decision.
Yeah. So
okay. So besides all that, you have all that, and then you got the Cowboys. So the Cowboys are here, and
this is very much Three Amigos. The El Chapo has, terrorized the city, and Virgil, White's brother, is looking around.
He's the inciting incident. Like, he's the one that has the first moral.
He goes, these people are scared.
Right.
They can't go outside. People have scars on their faces and shit. He's like, I have to stand up and do something.
And it's not just because I have the ability to and don't. It's also just like, we're here like vultures. Like, we're here just making money off people's misery and stuff like that. So, which is good. It's good that Kurt Russell's not the first one to, come to that conclusion, because it makes him a little bit more of a flawed protagonist.
No, we're not getting involved here. We
mind your own business. Like, we came out here to not do this.
We've already done this before.
Right.
And he very much knows you have to look over your shoulder.
Right.
If that's what you want to do.
Right.
And I don't want to die out here.
Right.
So yeah, he becomes the new sheriff.
Well, first
Marshal.
Virgil.
It's confusing.
Okay, the sheriff gets killed. That's what happens.
No.
Well, there's two different kinds of sheriffs. There's the city sheriff and then the county sheriff.
Yes.
And the county sheriff is basically
I'm a sovereign citizen. I only listen to the county sheriff.
He's a pussy, Like, he doesn't want to do anything. He's there to make money. Like, he's essentially corrupt. Like,
in the end, you find out he's
working with the Cowboys and stuff like that. So he's clearly not interested in anything. The other guy, the city sheriff, is just this old guy. You know, like you shouldn't like expect him to do anything, you know. And one evening, Powers Booth.
Is it Juanito? Or that he calls someone else Juanito? I don't remember what his name is.
But Powers Booth is smoking opium. Like,
he gets fucking high as shit.
And he starts
goes out and starts shooting in the street.
Yeah, he starts shooting the moon and howling at it like a wolf. And so somebody's, the city sheriff's like, I guess I better go do. He doesn't want to. He knows it's dangerous for him to go out there and ask the leader of the Cowboys to, stop shooting things. But he's the city sheriff. He's got to go, even though he's
not even
man.
that. Is that normally he might let it go because like everyone kind of ran away, but he's in the presence of Wyatt Earp and his brothers, and he's like, I have to show them.
Wyatt Earp tries to give him an out. Wyatt Earp actually says to him like, why not leave it alone, old man?
Yeah.
Like he actually, because he knows like, don't go out there, like that'll be trouble for you.
Curly Bill Brocious.
Curly Bill,
yeah.
So he goes out there to, hey, Powers Booth, I need to get your guns. And he basically, while giving the guns to the city sheriff, shoots him.
Yeah, so he
did it on purpose. That's my opinion.
I was going to ask you.
Yes.
So he had the guns upside down, and he's going to hand it to him.
He did it on purpose.
And he accidentally shoots it.
Yeah.
Now, he is stoned out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he did seem sad afterwards. He was like, no, wake up. I didn't mean to. Like, I don't know if he did
Maybe
mean
not.
to.
I don't know. He kind of looked like he did.
And he's not a psychopath. I mean, they all...
No, he's not.
He seems
Michael
to be...
Biehn's character's the psychopath.
Right. He's the one who has a hole in his... that no amount of killing, stealing, or thievery can fill. He seemed like he honestly was like, whoops. Even high as shit, he's just like, I didn't mean to do that. And I felt that it might have been an accident.
It might have been an accident. That's true. Now that I'm replaying it the way you've got me convinced. So Wyatt Earp comes out, takes the gun away from him, knocks him out. And all
the cowboys show up.
The other cowboys are there. You're like, you better let him go, and he essentially, even though he's not technically the sheriff, he's like, no, this guy's going to stand trial, I'm going to hang on to him, whatever. And they put him in jail overnight, and that's it. Now the Cowboys they
have the vendetta.
They have the vendetta now with Wyatt Earp.
And at this point, Virgil, and then they have to find a new sheriff, and this one Virgil decides to be the sheriff.
Right. And then Virgil convinces Morgan, and because he says, he's my brother, you got to back your brother's play. And then when they're going to put up a law that says you're not allowed to carry guns into town anymore.
Right.
And eventually, trying to remember when Wyatt Earp actually, like, does he not get involved until the OK Corral? I feel like that's when he actually,
I don't think it's that far in, but it's at something like that.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a second thing. Ike Clanton, the Clanton brothers, they're out gambling and they're mad at... Well, first thing, Curly Bill gets off on a technicality.
Right.
The judge says, did anyone see him do it?
Right, no witnesses.
And everyone's like, we were inside. We came out and he was the only one there.
Right.
Nope, sorry, he's free to go.
Right.
So Curly Bill goes back.
Right.
Ike Clanton's just looks like a dirty old miner, you know? He's gambling. He obviously hates the Earps and shit, and he just gets into a big tussle at the gambling table and talks shit. And then when he gets his guns back from the bartender, Virgil's standing right behind him, and he's... That's
right. So they knock him out, too, and put him in the drunk
Clanton's
tank
talking
as
to
well.
the bartender, saying, like, I'm going to go get the fucking Earps.
Right.
And Virgil's just standing right behind him going, okay, I got all the evidence I need.
Yeah.
Knocks his ass out and puts him in jail.
Right.
But here's the thing that's funny. Virgil is just like, he's drunk. I'm going to have him sober up.
Yeah. And
when the Cowboys come to get him, they say, you give him his guns back. Say, hey, when he's sober, I'll give you your guns back.
Right.
Virgil was actually being a lawman.
Right.
He was letting it go. Even though he's good. They're already saying we're going to kill you. We want your blood and everything like that. He was going to let it go. But of course, fucking Cowboys are idiots. And they couldn't. They're all drunk. Or Ike Clanton's drunk. Couldn't let it go. And of course, they start shit. Which does another one of those. Here's Wyatt Earp being a badass again. When Wyatt Earp's walking into the sheriff's station as they're coming out, and he bumps into one of the Cowboys. He goes, yada yada, watch where you're fucking going, old man. And he goes, hey, take it easy, kiddo. I'm sorry. He goes, I ain't your kid, and I ain't easy. And he opens his fucking vest, right? And he shows him his gun, like, come on, Wyatt Earp, I'll fucking shoot you. He just, quick hands, pulls the gun out of the guy's vest, or out of his waistband, and just hits him over the head with it.
Yeah.
He just, fucking Wyatt Earp's a superhero, man. Don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
And again, he, like, lets him go. Says, here's your gun. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
We've given you so many chances to go. And, of course, they still want to start shit. And I think that's when he puts the badge on. Because he realizes at this point, they're gunning for the Earps. So he goes, God damn it, sign me up as a deputy.
Yeah. Well, so he... So the OK Corral, that's what everybody, the shootout of the OK Corral.
Right.
And It's one of obviously the famous Western shootouts, probably the only one that anybody knows anything about. And it's funny to me because we've said talk shit like a couple times. Like it happened because of shit talking. Like essentially, somebody comes to them and he goes like, "Hey, all those guys are over there and they're talking shit."
Right.
That's basically what it is. Like there's 5 cowboys over there, and you know what they're saying? They're talking a bunch of shit. And then the Earps go like, "Well, fuck them. They can't talk shit. We're gonna." We're gonna go like confront them.
Yeah,
that's essentially what happened.
Well, so what really happened was, so they had their guns.
Right. I mean, I get it. They're not supposed to have their guns.
There were like 5 of them, and 2 of them had guns, and they were gonna go disarm them.
Right.
Now the sheriff, the county sheriff runs and goes, I just disarmed him. Don't worry about it.
Right, full of shit.
And so we go, well, we know we can kind of tell the sheriff's full of shit. He's in cahoots with them.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell just goes, thanks for that.
Yeah.
And keeps going.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, thank you for that. But he knows, fuck you too.
Yeah.
But he says it in a really funny way, like, well, thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
We're not stopping.
Yeah.
And then when I get up, and so the idea was they weren't there to have a shootout.
Right.
Virgil was there to actually uphold the law.
Right.
Turn in your guns. You're free to go.
Right.
Turn in your guns.
Right. Because even Wyatt at this point is still just like let them sober up. As soon as they start getting headaches, they'll go away.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, they'll forget all about it.
But Virgil's very like stand his ground. It's like they're breaking the law.
Yeah.
You know.
And then of course Doc Holliday is like, I'll go with you boys.
Yeah. He's down because he's got Wyatt's back no matter what.
And this is when Doc Holliday makes the like formal idea of, I'm going to roll with you boys.
Right.
If you're going to roll to the end, I'm with you. I'm not going to be a sheriff. I'm not going to hold the badge.
Right.
But I'm going to ride with you.
My hypocrisy. I forgot what the line is.
I didn't quite get that. My hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Well, because he's a bad guy and he's doing like good guy stuff.
So what's cool is that scene at the very end of the movie, the credits when they're walking down the street, that's what leads up to the OK Corral.
Right.
Supposedly they shot it in they were going to shoot it in one long take and then obviously fill it in.
Yeah.
But that's the walk.
Yeah.
There's a really cool way to look at it, whereas if you look at what they're wearing, all black, trench coats, they're not the law. They're fucking undertakers.
Yeah, they do look like undertakers.
They don't look like, and they didn't come in with their guns up. They came with their guns in their belts.
Right.
They were there to actually say, give us your shit. We're not going to just fucking hold them up.
Right.
And even Virgil doesn't pull his gun out right away. They try to maintain.
Well, I love that
stability.
scene. So the part where when all the cowboys start going for their guns, Virgil very quickly, no, wait, that's not what we want. That's not what we came here for. It's very genuine, And
this is what makes this,
because they know about shootouts. Morgan doesn't. He's the youngest one. He hasn't been in a fight yet.
Yeah.
But Virgil and Wyatt have, and Doc Holliday, you assume has.
Yeah.
And Doc Holliday doesn't care. He'll get into a fight. But
he's got the shotgun.
But Wyatt and Virgil, I think both, like you can see it in their faces, like they don't want this to happen because they know what happens.
Yes.
They know the bloodshed. They know that it's not fun. It's, what does Roland say? What does Roland say about like gunfights in the dark? It's so fucking cool. He's like, it's like stupidity and violence for like 10 seconds or something like that.
The fact that it's over really quick.
It's just so quick. It's so fast, but it takes so much away, in that such a short amount of time.
Wyatt Earp had told Morgan at some point, he's like, you don't want, like...
You don't know what it's like to kill somebody.
He tells him, he's like, I've only had to have one shootout.
Right.
Which, you think, Wyatt Earp's a fucking legend. Like, what? He's only had one shootout.
Well, you can tell by the way everything we've talked about, all of these things that Wyatt Earp's done in the movie so far, that's what he's been doing.
Right, no gun.
He's literally been like, if you are enough of a badass, you do not need to ever shoot anybody.
Right.
You could avoid every gunfight by just being that guy.
And he feels a lot of remorse for killing whoever guy that he killed back in Kansas or whatever. Is like, he says, I have to live with that. And you think, why would you care? It was probably a bad guy.
You get the feeling that perhaps all these people, because you say he keeps letting them go, right?
Yeah.
Like he could throw down with any of these fools, right? And like take care of them. Perhaps that's what he didn't do, that one time,
Right.
Like maybe he didn't let it go. Maybe he did. And just like, oh, that was just some little fucking moron. Like that was some fucking pussy asshole.
And now I've taken a life.
And I've taken his life now.
That.
Like he wasn't truly evil. He was just, he was stupid, very responsible.
So yeah, when they go to this OK Corral, it's not this like fancy shootout where it was like, well, bang, 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 boo. It was very much like, we don't want to do this, but if we have to do this, we're going to do this.
Right.
That's what they say. Like the reality of it is afterwards, the county sheriff tried to have them arrested.
Yeah.
Even though they're the law.
Right.
Because the idea is like they were the instigators.
I will not let you arrest me today.
They kind of were, but like you said, Virgil is a very stubborn man.
They were breaking the law.
They were breaking the law, and I'm not going to let it go.
Right. So, and then then the actual last line before they actually start shooting each other is the
no.
Well, it's funny because you could blame Doc Holliday for the entire thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So basically, it's really tense. They're all looking at each other, all waiting to see who's going to make the first move. And
it's between Doc Holliday and a guy from earlier that had a little.
They had a little tete-a-tete, earlier. So he winks at him. He just gives him a little wink. You know?
I think he says something though.
Does he say something? I can't
It's something
remember.
small. I can't remember what it is.
But that guy's like, oh, fuck you, you know?
Yeah.
And he instigates it. And then as soon as
Kurt Russell sees it in his eyes,
it says, oh my God.
that's what it is. Yeah, because he realized he's gonna pull the gun.
He sees it all in slow motion. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, this is going to be bad. Like, that's, you know, and then there's a shootout. And it's funny you talk about how meticulously this is researched.
Yeah.
You can feel that in the gunfight because it's the way it's edited, the way it's shot is very much like, and then this happened, and then this happened.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
they went
It's not
through-
just like fucking shooting at each other and then it's over. You know, it's like this person got shot in the leg and then they fell down,
Yeah.
and then this person did this, and then they pulled the gun. This other guy ran away. You know,
I want to say his name is Steven. Is the guy with the blue shirt that the one who pulls the gun first.
Right.
Of these
he's
the
from
actors.
like he plays the Sandman in Spider-Man 3 and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, that's not the one I would think of, but
He
anyway.
was in a TV show for a little while too.
Yeah. So he right-handed. At one point, he gets shot in the wrist and then in the stomach. First, he gets shot in the stomach.
Yeah.
And then he gets up and he gets shot in the wrist, and he puts the gun in his left hand. So you see in the shootout by the end, he's actually shooting with his left hand.
Right.
That's what actually happened in the thing.
Right.
So the real shootout at the OK Corral lasted like 27 seconds.
Right.
Under 30 seconds. But Virgil gets hit in the leg. Morgan gets shot in the shoulder. Both by the same guy with the blue shirt.
Right.
They kill him. He's got shot like 6-8 times, whatever it is. One of the other cowboys had a gun. He gets shot and killed. One of them that didn't have a gun gets shot and killed because there's 3 guys that got killed. Mm-hmm. One of them runs away, and Ike Clanton's going, I don't have a gun.
He
I
says,
don't want to shoot.
if you're not going to get in the fight, get out of the way or something
That's what
like
Wyatt
that.
Earp says. The
Yeah.
fight's already begun.
Yeah.
Either get to fighting or get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And that's where they go, like, Wyatt Earp, even though they were the lawmen, they were kind of assholes. They didn't have to do this.
Right.
Because the fight's commenced. Get to fighting or get out of here.
Right.
Well, it didn't have to be that way. So yeah, they kill 3 cowboys. Virgil and Morgan are injured at this point, and the only man standing is just like never. So another thing about Wyatt Earp, they said with everyone's ducking for cover, and you know how a gunfight would be. Everyone's kind of
Yeah.
moving, and things I love about Old West movies that are accurate is that people's accuracy is fucking garbage.
Right.
Even from 5 feet away,
Right.
they can't seem to hit each other sometimes, right?
Right.
You know, it's fucking adrenaline and stuff, but these guns are just seemingly either A, you guys suck at shooting, or the guns are inaccurate. I don't know what it is. Because at other times, they're super fucking accurate.
Probably in reality is when somebody's shooting at you, you're probably not going to have the best aim.
Right. Especially a 6 shooter that's like, you
Yeah.
hold it really far out from yourself. You don't hold it with 2 hands. Everyone's ducking for cover and move around. Wyatt Earp never moves.
Right.
He just stands there, stands his fucking ground. And I guess that's what the idea in history actually happened. It's like he would have just stood there. He wasn't scared.
Right.
Fucking, you look back and go, yeah, dude, everyone's on the ground behind stuff. He's just standing out in the open. Doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Wyatt Earp is a fucking superhero, right?
Yeah, he is. So there you go.
So, yeah, OK Corral happens, and of course now it's really on.
Okay, so the Cowboys want revenge.
Yeah.
There's several different attempts on, like, they try to kill their wives, like assassinate the wives.
Well, that's an
or-
important part. Dana Delaney, the actress, she's dating the town sheriff, and
Yeah.
he's like, you're going to want to know me or be with someone after this is all over, because basically saying, I'm in good with the Cowboys, I'm going to run this town. And she goes, oh, you're a piece of shit, basically.
Yeah.
Now I know that. And she goes and warns the wives
Right.
to be careful, and some masked
Just enough
assassin
time,
tries
I
to
guess,
shoot them,
Yeah.
which causes Michael Rooker's character, another famous actor,
Right.
to then defect from the Cowboys with 2 other guys and saying, that was poorly...
Yeah, you don't go after guys' wives.
Yeah. And so they tell Wyatt Earp, we'll ride with you,
Right.
whatever you want to do. Which is funny because they don't seem like they would be like die-hard followers, but by the end, they're like, nah, man, we're really with you.
Yeah.
Like, they seem more loyal than the brothers did, you know?
I mean, I guess there's not a whole lot of things to do in the West, you know. You
McMasters, that's his name. But yeah, they ride with them like super loyal,
Right.
which is kind of cool. They get a good relationship going. Yeah, they kill...
So they kill Virgil and they kill...
No, they kill Morgan.
Okay, sorry. They kill Morgan and Virgil loses his arm. He gets
the use
shot.
of his arm.
I thought he had it amputated.
No, he's just saying you'll never be able to hold a gun.
Oh,
or
okay,
whatever.
fair enough.
So at this point, yeah, Virgil's fucked up. They ambush him. They ambush Morgan when he's playing pool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have to try to dig the bullet out of his back,
Yeah.
and he just can't do it,
Can't
and he has
get
to
it,
watch him
and-
die.
Yeah.
I like that line, though, because earlier he talked about, like, oh, you know, you believe in God, and supposedly when you die, you see a light.
I
And
don't
he's-
see a damn thing.
Yeah, he's on the pool
That's
table.
sad.
And he just goes, yeah, I can't see a damn thing.
Yeah.
And they just poof, gone. Like, fucking Bill Pax.
So this is like the cathartic like moment, like switch in the movie, because now it's like, well, now he doesn't have to worry about anybody, right? So they're gonna take Virgil and take the wives, and they put them all on a train.
Well, the idea here is, does Wyatt Earp go for revenge?
Right.
Or does he go, he's a smart man. I'd rather pack, because at this point he was already telling them, let's pack our bags and go.
Right.
It's better to be alive. He's one of those smart guys. It's better to be alive than try to be the tough guy.
Right.
Or do the right thing.
Right.
At this point, is he going to just, all right, I lost one of mine, they lost some of theirs, I'm willing to let it go because I want to get the fuck out of here.
Right.
I want to keep my wife alive, I want to keep my other brother alive, and his wives. What's more important, right?
Right.
Of course, he's smarter than that. He knows the fucking...
they're on their way out of town.
That scene when they're on the way out of town. Wow, what a fucking asshole Johnny Ringo is.
Yeah, so he's like, Joe Wyatt Earp stops by Powers' booth and Michael Biehn and says, I just want you to know it's over. Like, just, you made your point. Like, I'm not
We got three of yours, you got one of ours.
Right.
Let's call it even.
They're on the way out of town, right? And Michael Biehn says, you smell that? It smells like someone died.
Yeah.
And even Powers' booth, like, he laughs, but he's like, God damn, Ringo.
I think there's one scene in the movie where Johnny Ringo's all fucking drunk as shit, and he even tells, man, boys, I tell you, I'm going to be scared one of these days when Johnny Ringo's the leader of the gang and I'm gone. Yeah. That sounds like a bad idea.
Bad day for you guys.
Yeah. It's like he's got so much personality. Even the bad guys are interesting characters.
Yeah.
They're not just one-dimensional bad guys. I kind of like Curly Bill.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy, but he's super interesting.
So he does that kind of, bye.
Oh my God. What an asshole. Yeah. It's done.
So, of course, as soon as they're Wyatt Earp's outside of earshot, he goes over his guys and says, all right, take him, take that other guy, go to the train station, make sure you finish the job.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna bury the hatchet. It's not,
they're the Cowboys.
They're the Cowboys. They don't fuck around. So you take over here. You got the train station scene.
Yeah, I love that they're on the train and Virgil's like hanging out the window. And you say, okay, you see Clanton and his buddy, they're like, okay, that's the wife over there, let's go do this. And they go, what is his wife's name?
Hey, Virgil, where's Wyatt?
No, they ask his wife.
Oh,
Maddie.
okay.
Hey, Maddie, is that
right?
Wyatt behind you right there? And they pull their shotguns out, and you just hear Kurt Russell from off camera go, I'm right over here, or some shit like that. And he just shoots the dude in the fucking back with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And Ike Clanton, being the bitch that he is.
Fuck that guy, dude.
Yeah.
How did he make it out of this movie alive? It's crazy.
Drops the gun. Oh, don't shoot. Don't shoot. Please don't kill me.
But
Please
it's badass,
don't
dude. Wyatt Earp puts his fucking spur in his mouth and just tears it all to shit. And then, and it's got a great fucking line. Says, like, you go tell all the Cowboys.
Well, at this point, also, you see McMasters and the two guys from the Cowboys that defected.
Right.
All come rolling up with shotguns
and that's
badges.
Oh, and it's not just any badge because he's not a sheriff. He says,
They're
you see
US
that?
Marshals.
I'm a U.S. fucking Marshal. That means run wherever you want. I'll get you.
Yep.
That's fucking cool. It's a good movie.
Because that's where he goes, they talked about, like, the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Or not quite the Four Horsemen, but the idea of death on... What's Death's horse's name?
I don't know. Death Red's a pale horse or something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, when he rides in with hell behind him.
Right.
And at this point, he goes, I'm riding in with hell behind me. Go on, you cur. Tell all those other curs I'm going to get them, And that's when I didn't like the movie anymore.
Because it's Montage City.
I haven't told you, I didn't like the last half hour of the movie.
Yeah, it's sort of like the movie was like hurrying up to get done.
Oh, and Doc Holliday's there, but he doesn't have a badge. Does he?
No. Well, he's working with him, but no, I don't know.
He's just working with him, but he just...
No, he did, because the whole point is he takes the badge at the end.
Right.
And then gives it back. So what, you want to just skip over this whole part?
I mean,
like, it's pretty cool when he sticks out Powers' booth. You want to... No!
Yeah.
You want to talk about that scene?
Well, they're hunting down cowboys. And
it's just montage. Like, they're just...
But they're fucking riding horses.
Yeah,
and shit.
it's fucking the scores blaring,
Yeah.
and they're just taking out all the cowboys.
Yeah. Sneaking up on them in brothels.
It's fucking violent.
Yeah.
I don't remember the movie being so like you think of it like, oh, he's Captain America, like we've been talking about, right? Like this guy that he avoids violence at all costs or whatever. No, it's just fucking. There's a guy in an opium den and he thinks that he's like taking a hit off a pipe, and it turns out that it's just fucking like the end of fucking Wyatt Earp's barrel of his gun, and then the guy opens his eyes, and then the camera pans up to Wyatt Earp's face, and just boom, just blows the guy's fucking head off. It happens off camera, but like, Jesus
At this point,
Christ.
you realize they're not arresting these guys.
No, they're just killing them.
But
if they give up their sash, if they take their sash off, he says, if you're wearing a red sash, I'm killing the man wearing it.
On sight.
On sight.
Yeah.
But like you see several times cowboys take off their sash.
Really, though?
Well, that's how Ike gets away.
I only see it once.
That's how Ike gets away.
That's how Ike gets away at the
Okay.
very end. So after they killed just about everybody.
Right.
So at one point they get ambushed.
Right.
They go out to get some guys in the forest, and the fucking cowboys are waiting for them. They're pinned down, and Doc Holliday's just like, whoa, why? You come up with a plan right now.
Yeah.
And that's where that weird, no.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. So this is like, Powers Booth becomes like the mini boss, I guess. So, like Michael Bihn's like the actual boss. So this is that whole like Wyatt Earp standing still thing that you were talking about. Wyatt just gets up and says, "I got better aim than you do, and I bet you guys are pussies. I bet you like you can't. I bet you just me just walking towards you,
it's
handguns
such a weird
blazing.
Thing that you couldn't do it.
Yeah, you're not gonna shoot straight." And Powers Booth gets so excited, he says, like he's gonna go out there. Oh, I want to take him out.
And he's walking through like knee deep water.
Right, it's a river in between
like,
them.
Slow as shit.
Right.
And then, save him for me. I want to get him.
Right.
And goes out there, bang, bang, bang. Can't fucking hit him. And he realizes his gun's out of ammo. And Kurt Russell just pulls the fucking shotgun up and goes, no. And just boom, boom.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And that was a good squib. They blow half his fucking ribs open.
Yeah. So Powers Booth is gone.
And then they kill him, and he pulls his pistol out, and they start fucking taking down cowboys left and right, and a lot of them are just running away.
And then we get another montage.
Yeah.
Montage.
Gonna need a montage.
It's a fucking it's montage heavy. So we got Wyatt Earp like riding, like literally breaking through the wall of a saloon, like or something like that on his horse and just starts shooting people.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he just rides.
Weird.
Yeah,
like they got a little overzealous. I think
that's like a distraction, right? Oh no, and he pulls his gun out. And,
he's got a horse inside the fucking like barbershop or whatever it is, and just starts shooting people.
At this point, you gotta love it. Just like Wyatt Earp is that like you said, that scene on the train platform.
Yeah.
He literally, I'm bringing death with me. I don't give a fuck. If I see you, you're dead.
Yeah.
And they don't play around. And they, like I said, they even ambush guys too. Like they don't just kill him they'll just sneak up on him.
Right. So we we move forward now to Doc Holliday passes out from his illness. Like he's clearly like he's not doing very well.
Yeah.
And so we got to find some place to, for Doc Holliday to rest or whatever. And they find Charlton Heston.
I thought that was him at one point. I was like, is that Heston?
I'm pretty sure it is.
It is. No, it is. It absolutely is.
Okay, so they got him there now. And these cowboys come and they go, look, Johnny Ringo, we want to finish this. We want,
Well, no, so when they go to Heston's ranch, they're like, at this point, these guys are kind of outlaws. Even though they're marshals, all the cowboys are now actual sheriff deputies.
Right, because the county sheriff is just like deputizing all of them.
And this is one of those weird things where you're like, who's actually the fucking law here? Because the judge in Arizona is like saying you can go arrest these marshals or these guys that are lawmen. But like, no, they're the fucking law. But they're saying that they're crazy law. It's nuts. I don't know how anything got ever done in the wild. Like, how did civilization get to where it's at?
I don't know.
Seems like everyone had killed and raped each other by now until, you had actual police and shit. But they go to that ranch, and no one's really going to help the marshals because they don't want to get targeted by the cowboys.
Yeah.
And then the rancher's like, oh, we'll fucking protect you.
Right.
And then in the next morning, and the actress shows up.
Who cares?
I don't know, yeah.
Like I said, it's
but what happens like the next morning, those two cowboys come riding in, and they're dragging Michael Rooker's character.
Oh, is that who you're right?
They somehow got him.
Yeah, who knows?
He must have gone outside, and they fucking just like beat the shit out of him and dragged him on the ground until he died.
Yeah.
And so, they say, meet us at 3 or meet Johnny Ringo at
Johnny
3
Ringo wants a one-on-one with Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
And that's how we'll squash this.
Yes.
We'll finish it up. So it's kind of weird because it's like, why would you do that? But I guess Wyatt Earp kind of looks at it as an opportunity, kind of like a Hiroshima kind of thing. Like, if I do this, I could end it right now.
And they're like, oh, he won't show up. They're like, oh, yeah, he will.
Yeah.
He'll fucking show up.
Yeah.
Like, he's not scared.
So Wyatt Earp doesn't think he can take on Johnny Ringo.
And he's talking to Doc Holliday about it. He goes, is this my undoing, basically?
Right.
And he says, yeah, you can't win this.
He's like, I can't win this, can I? Like, no, I don't think you can.
And that's that beautiful scene with Doc He's talking about Johnny Ringo, like, what's wrong with this guy?
Right.
He said he has a hole, and he's like, he's mad, he's angry, and there's no amount of killing, stealing, thievery, rape, anything that could, drugs, that can fill it in. He's like, what is he mad at? He's being born.
Yeah, right. No, what is he getting? Yeah. He's getting revenge on, right. For what?
For being born.
For being born, right.
Like, yeah, and that's when you realize Johnny Ringo's character is like, no, he's a psychopath. You almost feel bad for him away.
Yeah.
He hates life.
Yeah.
He's almost like Doc Holliday. He has a death wish. He's ready to die at any moment, but nobody can kill him.
Right.
Isn't that kind of a weird curse? Like, I want to die, but nobody can kill me because I'm too strong,
Right.
So, yeah, and of course, Doc Holliday's up in a bed, and he's like, I can't. He tries to get up.
No, I'm going to come help you. Oh, I can't. I'm too sick. And then he actually says to him, hey, can I just have the badge? The badge. Just, I want to see what it feels like or something like that. And then Wyatt Earp leaves him, seemingly thinking maybe it's the last time he's ever talking to his friend because he doesn't know if he can beat John Ringo.
Right.
So this is cool. I love this ending. I think it's a great climax.
You're not necessarily expecting this.
Because it could have ended in some big shootout or whatever, with Wyatt Earp being like the titular hero. But instead, so you got Johnny Ringo. He says, meet him up at this grove, like at the top of this hill or
Or
whatever.
this oak tree or whatever.
And Johnny Ringo's up there. He's pacing around. He's waiting for Wyatt Earp. And you see the silhouette of this cowboy walking into the shade of the trees. And it's
good.
shot really well.
Yes.
They kept him in shadow, and they didn't cut or anything. Like, he just literally walks out of the shadow just enough to where he raises his hat, and you see that it's actually Doc Holliday.
Right.
And it's a cool moment. I remember watching the movie the first time. I didn't see that coming. And
I didn't either. I didn't know what was really going to happen.
and you're like, oh, of course, because the movie's been fucking telegraphing this the whole time and building up this showdown with these two guys.
Because Wyatt Earp was the leader, and so was Curly Bill. The
Right.
two leaders they already did their duel.
Right.
Now it's time for the two
mini boss
lieutenants.
versus mini boss.
Yeah.
So it's so early on in the movie. Earlier on in the movie, Johnny Ringo's really drunk, and he wants to throw down. He wants to like have a shootout, a duel with somebody. And Curly Bill says, "Leave him alone. He's drunk." Like Doc Holliday kind of steps in. He's totally sober, and he goes like, "Well, I'm your Huckleberry."
No. Yeah, no. So he does a thing where they come in the bar, and he does all the fancy gun spinning.
That's their first
Johnny
encounter.
Ringo shows
Right.
all, and then Doc Holliday's drunk off his mind. He's like, "Do you want to really throw down?"
Right.
That kind of thing. And he has this little cup that he's been drinking out of, and he starts spinning the
It's
cup.
fucking funny. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm drunk, but I can still do it. But at the same time,
Right.
he de-escalated the situation
Right.
by making everybody laugh.
The second time he did it wasn't necessarily de-escalating. He was more like bringing the heat to me. It's like the second time he steps out and he's got the gun behind his back or whatever. He says, "I'm your Huckleberry." He's like, my fight's not with you, Lunger, or something like
Yeah.
that. And what does he say? Like,
Because I want your blood, I want your soul, and I
something
want
like
it
that.
now.
I say, "I play for blood," or they say something about
Yeah.
playing for blood.
Yeah.
So when he sees him again, he says kind of the same thing. Johnny Ringo goes like, I'm fighting Wyatt Earp, not you. He's like, "No, I beg to differ. We never finished what we started. Remember,
Yeah.
playing for blood?" And so he baits out Johnny Ringo because he knows who this person is, like
Right.
the way we've seen him describe him. He goes, he knows that this guy is going to be into that idea. And so he goes, "All right, Lunger, let's do it."
Yeah.
And,
It's probably the best scene in the movie.
it's a great fucking scene.
Yeah.
And of course,
I'm all excited. Like, you're like describing it to me, and I'm like, yeah, it's fucking good.
it's fucking great. And Johnny Ringo's kind of nervous. You can see it in his face, actually. Like he's been so like brazen about it this entire time, but when it came down to it,
He knew that Doc Holliday was his better, or not his better,
or he
his
didn't
match.
know. Yeah, he didn't know how it was
not
going to
sure.
turn out.
Yeah,
right.
he always
but
knows he
Doc
can
Holliday
win, but-
doesn't care.
Right.
Doc Holliday might not know how it's going to turn out either, but like he knows he's done anyway.
Yeah.
And you can see it. So Johnny Ringo's like, he's fucking nervous. You can see it. Doc Holliday, they're showing his mouth and they're close up on his mouth and like on his fingers on his gun. It's just tapping it.
He's just smoking a cigarette.
He's just smoking a
and stuff.
cigarette,
Yeah.
and he says, "Say when," and then that's it. He beats him. It's just like fast.
Well, it's weird too the way he starts to get his, Johnny Ringo's got his hand on his gun. He starts
Yeah.
pulling up higher.
Yeah.
And then of course, but that's the point of having the high gun is that you
Yeah.
don't have to pull it as far, and he already has it in the front.
Right.
Just shoots him in the temple.
He also shoots him under the arm too, because he's still got his cigarette hand up, and I think he's like shot him like under the arm like
yeah,
this.
he pulls it low and shoots high.
Right, right.
He shoots at an upward
Right
angle.
into the head, right into the temple. And he doesn't go down right away because this is the old fucking West and they shoot like 22s.
Here's the weird, he goes, "You know, Daisy."
Yeah.
Is he trying to goad Johnny Ringo into shooting him?
No, I think he's just being an asshole.
I couldn't tell.
It's just him being him.
But it seemed like he was very much like, I need this guy. Like, I want to die too.
I think he's just goading. I think he's gloating.
Like, he had anger.
Yeah.
It's like, "You're no Daisy." And he was like mad. He wanted him to pull the gun up and try to fire off another shot or something.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted Johnny Ringo to fight back. And then, of course, he goes down and Kurt Russell shows up like, "What the? Oh, Doc Holliday. You
perhaps I
squirrely
wasn't.
man."
What is it? Well, maybe I wasn't as sick as I made out.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes you wonder if he was actually faking being how sick he was because he knew that Wyatt Earp would never let him do that.
Yes.
And I think
yeah.
that's what I decided to believe about that. So
in
it's
the
over.
real life.
And then they said, "Let's go get the rest," and we get one more montage.
Yeah.
of killing
And that's the one where
cowboys.
Ike Clanton is that and the county sheriff are riding away for their lives.
Right.
And he takes off the red sash and goes, "Look," and lets it go.
Yeah, and then they just shake each other's hands.
Yeah, it's on horses while riding all fast. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny. So in real life, no one knows who killed Johnny Ringo.
Yeah.
There's three theories of Wyatt Earp did it,
Yeah.
or Doc Holliday did it with a rifle from a distance,
Right.
while Wyatt Earp was close up.
Right.
One of the guys that was with Johnny Ringo could have done it. They might have gotten in a fight and he killed him. But the way that the coroner or whoever at that time says it was a suicide.
Right.
There was one single, which is why this movie, again, this is what no one kind of knows. So they play this up for drama, but again, there's actually no definitive answer on this. After Doc Holliday shoots him, he does fire one shot out of his gun off the ground, I think. Right, Johnny? His gun's hanging, and he shoots one on the ground because he's like dying. They say his gun had spent one bullet, and the bullet would have matched the kind, but then again, you never, I mean, handguns all have bullet, whatever.
Yeah, it's not like they had fucking like bullet forensics, back then.
So, don't know.
Yeah.
Don't really know.
Probably didn't go down this way, but who cares? It's awesome.
And then there's like they said he had a court date in Colorado a couple days before, and they said he was present, but it could have just been his lawyer representing him.
Right.
But he checked in at some place that was like 500 miles away a week before, so he actually was in the area.
Yeah.
Doc Holliday, like, it's kind of cool that there is no answer, but I'll take this as the definitive answer.
Sure.
I like this one.
Yeah. You make our own American myths here.
And then after this, it's now tuberculosis is going to take him.
This scene makes me cry. It made me super sad when I was younger, and it jerked my tears pretty good this time too. I don't want to play Wyatt.
Yeah, it's like Wyatt shows up to like in his, this is not real either. How he's like in a sanatorium.
Yeah, which is actually right.
Supposedly he just died in his hotel room.
Okay,
like he actually wasn't in the sanatorium. It was in Colorado, but not whatever. Yeah, Wyatt just like shows up and it's like just makes him play cards, even though he's just like, I can't. I'm stuck in a bed. I can barely move, and you're trying to force me to play cards because he knows I'm a gambler, and he's trying to get it out of him. And at this point, he's like, dude, stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
I'm done. And then his last line when he looks down at his feet.
Oh, this is funny.
And he has no boots on. He looks down at his feet.
So that's right. It could either, it could just be like, you're supposed to die with your boots on.
So I can tell you, yeah. So what I thought it was, this is another throwback to Morgan talking about seeing the light when you die.
Or maybe.
I thought he was like, oh shit, because he was very much like, I don't believe in that stuff or whatever. Right. Oh, this is funny. Like, I do see a light. Reality was, he said to the nurse, something like that, I always thought I would die with my boots on.
Right.
Or like in a gunfight.
Right.
And look at me sitting here on a bed dying with no
It's nice
boots.
that it's ambiguous, though. You can read it as the boots thing. You can read it as
that's
like...
what the real life thing was.
Right.
But I thought it in the movie was very much of like, he's throwback to like, I see a light.
Or just like the feeling of death. And just like Doc Holliday's like a Joker. And this is just like, oh, weird. Like the same, like somebody gave you morphine. You'd be like, oh, that feels funny. Like, who knew the death was going to feel like this? You know?
It's a very touching scene between the two.
It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
But great scene, great character. And then whatever. And then so like Kurt Russell finds the girl and then they have room service.
His wife had already died of an opium overdose.
The movie just completely forgets about her. Completely forgets about her. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. What? She's with Virgil or something. I don't know. Oh, they left on the train.
She had died of an overdose a couple years after the like OK Corral shootout. So
yeah.
You know what's funny?
So we didn't even have to divorce her then.
We did not mention Billy Zane.
Billy Zane's in this movie.
We win.
He plays an actor.
Yeah. But
he does Shakespeare and a bunch of cowboys.
That is kind of a weird scene because the cowboys were all into it and shit. I didn't get that.
And then the guy from 90210 is like, let me buy you a drink here.
Jason Priestley is a goddamn deputy. It is weird though because people come on stage to do fucking magic acts and they just shoot at them.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you be around?
I have no idea, man. Like,
and the fact that one of the guys got up and shot at Billy Zane at his one of his props, and he continued to act.
Right.
And like, woo, just whatever.
Yeah.
Anytime you don't mention Billy Zane, it's a good thing.
Okay.
So that's Tombstone.
I loved him in Tales of the Crypt.
Couldn't tell you.
You never saw that? Demon Knight?
No, I never saw the movie.
We'll have to watch those.
I watched the show, but not the movie.
Okay, you want to talk about Bone Tomahawk?
That's Tombstone.
That's Tombstone. You glad you watched it then?
Yes. Other than like the montages at the end, which kind of like, that kind of sucked. I enjoyed the.
It's not perfect. I have not seen it in a really long time.
Right.
It's edited funny. There's a lot.
I'm okay with all
I think
that
some
stuff.
Pacing issues, obviously, especially in the third act.
Because like the wife and the girl, you don't really care as much about.
All that stuff is sort of like, just why is it even in the movie?
Right.
It's very weak.
But I thoroughly enjoy watching life in the Old West.
Yeah.
Because I always think, like you said, like there's just outlaws with guns. Like why are people paying for shit? Isn't this just crazy? This seems to be some semblance of like normal life.
Yeah.
And things that are like, oh no, there's like a tax collector. I'm like, who the fuck would pay taxes?
Right.
How are you going to prove anyone paid? What?
How are you proving paid?
How do you prove anyone made money? Like it just seems so crazy.
Because you're W-2 on parchment paper.
Yeah. I don't. It's always interesting to me to see what real life is like in places that I don't understand that aren't here. You know.
Right.
Yeah. That's Tombstone. A+.
Very classic Western.
Yes.
Not trying to be anything fancy. Just here's a good old time.
Yeah. And there's no shootouts that are as like the Wild Bunch style.
No.
Like that's a crazy fucking dude, machine gun and a Gatling gun, whatever, you know.
No, this is not trying to be edgy.
That's another Western.
Really, huh?
That's another Western I like.
Oh,
Wild Bunch.
Yeah, Wild Bunch is amazing.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be like, it's not trying to make, there's no grand message or anything like that. It's just like, we want to make a movie about the heroes of the Old West, like these real guys, we're going to romanticize the shit out of it.
But the idea was like, let's try to be authentic.
Sure.
and tell a story.
Still play up the legend, you know?
Right. So it's like I said, I haven't seen these other movies that were they talked about, but they said like, oh, but at this point, this kind of hadn't been done.
Right.
So this is it actually is an authentic
So what is it?
movie.
Came out in the 90s?
93.
So this is also like, oh, westerns are dead. Like this is there's probably like no western that comes out between like who knows, like some of the westerns in the 80s and then like again and like, you know what I mean? Like it's this thing. It's a movie that a lot of people know. Like if you talk about Tombstone, it's definitely like a guy. Like people are, oh yeah, I love Tombstone. When I talk about later about the Bone Tomahawk Amazon reviews, every fucking mother brings up Tombstone. Like
it's so funny that shit that you sent me. I was like, really?
I have so many. I did about 60.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Were they all the same thing?
A lot of them were.
That wasn't funny. So he sends me fucking text messages of screen captures of him berating Amazon reviewers on Bone Tomahawk because they didn't like it, and it's just a quote from the movie basically. Like I thought it'd be funny if they were different, but when you show me two of them,
a lot of them are different, but
and they both have the official county deputy or whatever it is, you're an imbecile. I went, okay, you had to mix it up to be funny though.
I couldn't fucking do. My goal was like I'm drunk and I'm like I'm gonna literally do every single one, but I did do like quite a few custom ones. We can put them on the website or something. I took pictures of it.
I'll put them in the show notes or something. So Bone Tomahawk.
Tomahawk.
Let's move forward 20 years.
Yeah, long time.
Another Kurt Russell Western.
Yeah. So
one of the funny things about this movie was, like you said about 93, about Westerns not kind of coming out.
Yeah.
Let's do a Western in 2015.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no other Westerns coming out around this time. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah. Thanks, Tarantino. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this movie.
This movie is The Searchers with not Indians.
Well, I found out about this movie because
I told you about it.
No, I want to say that, like I saw it on a YouTube ad, like before a video. That's the funny thing about YouTube, right? Is ads suck, and I don't block ads for things like that because you want the person to make money and shit. I only block ads for shitty websites that are assholes or whatever. Ads, you always skip them. Every once in a while, you'll see like before the 5-second mark is up that you can skip the ad. You'll be like, "Ooh, this is intriguing. I'll watch it." The Witch.
Yeah.
Have you seen trailers?
I heard
The Witch?
about it. No, I haven't watched it.
I watched it on a YouTube ad, and I was like, I let it run because it looked interesting. Bone Tomahawk, I'm pretty sure I saw it like that, or maybe it was on like Joe Blow. It was just very much like, hey, Western, Kurt Russell. I'm like, fuck it, I want to see. Oops. Okay, so
you said you saw it on a YouTube ad.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And it's one of those things where like I could tell it was a like indie, not going to get wide release, but it looked interesting.
Yeah.
And then you came back with like, have you seen Bone Tomahawk? It's fucking great. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. At least someone I know saw it and actually could recommend it.
Yeah. So I heard about it because I follow all the guys that I follow some film critics and stuff, and they had all gone to film festival, and their one of their huge big takeaways was, oh my god, I wasn't expecting to love Bone Tomahawk so much. Didn't even know what this movie was.
Because it looks like a cheap indie movie.
Yeah, well, it is a cheap indie movie.
Right, but the idea that like
they shot the whole thing in less than a month.
Right, like a cool Western with like not very much money seems kind of crazy.
So I kind of like, I didn't want to know much about it because they just, they just kept
I wanted
saying,
to go in fresh, yeah.
Yeah, and
actually, I knew nothing about it when I watched it.
They kept talking about it, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to spoil it for myself, but I did know that it was a Western. I do know that it was horror. Like, it was like a horror Western. Like, that's what I kept hearing.
And at the time of this recording, it's still a relatively new... It's only been out for like...
which is why I want to talk about it. I mean, it's been theatrically, technically, for a while, but it's only been streaming on Amazon Prime for like a month.
Right.
Which is going to be most people's, first exposure to it. So I had one thing that's great about indie movies is that they go on demand sooner than the big movies, and so I said I want to watch this. I'll pay the $6 to watch this at home on demand. I don't want to go to some small theater, go really far away to watch it. I'll watch this at home. And great decision. That's exactly what on demand is for indie movies, for you to watch. Not have to go some fucking like far small movie out of the middle of nowhere. So I knew this movie was really good because my girlfriend sat through the entire thing late at night. She usually falls asleep if you try to watch anything past like 10:30 or something like that. But she was wide awake. She was laughing. She was engaged or whatever. And and then that scene at the end. So that was fun with a girlfriend in the room
Jesus.
too. So we'll get to that, I guess.
I'm all pooped out after talking about Tombstone now. Then okay.
But I would say that Bone Tomahawk is, well, I'll say this, it's one of my top 5 favorite movies of the year for 2015. Like, if not that I saw every movie, but of all the movies that I saw, movies were Mad Max, Ex Machina, Creed, Hateful Eight, and Bone Tomahawk. Those are the movies I'm going to be rewatching.
And only one of those is like not a wide release.
I know, right?
Movie,
yeah,
right?
I'm not a fucking film critic. I don't see like all the cool
4
movies. 5: Hateful Eight, Creed, Ex Machina, Mad Max, Bone Tomahawk.
Mad Max. Okay, sorry. So what the fuck? And so this movie was shot in 21 days on the same location as Tombstone.
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell, who is not Wyatt Earp in the movie, but is,
Yeah. It's funny. It's not that Kurt Russell was in a million Westerns or anything like that. It's just that he was in Tombstone.
Right.
That means lots of people. There's a lot of people that are going out of their way to go watch Bone Tomahawk because they loved Kurt Russell in Tombstone and they want to see him in another Western.
I had seen Hateful Eight before this, and
same
I was
reason
all
for
into
Hateful
like,
Eight.
hey, Kurt Russell's in a Western. That's fucking cool. He's got the big mustache. Cool. Patrick Wilson is the main character, I guess you could say.
Sure.
I mean, he's the crux of the plot, everything.
Right.
And he goes like, yeah, dude, like, I'm riding on a fucking horse where they shot Tombstone next to Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Of course you take the job, right? Even if it's not a major motion picture, it's got all the cool, fun, like, I want to grow up and be a cowboy in a movie kind of thing. Who else is in this movie? Matthew Fox, did not recognize at all.
I love Matthew Fox. He doesn't get used enough. Like, I mean...
Well, Lost is garbage.
Everybody thinks of Lost, right? But, like, I don't know. I loved him in Speed Racer, which is, like, I'm the only one who loves that movie.
Speed Racer is garbage, too, yeah. So.
Well, you're a garbage person. So, anyway, I like Matt Fox. He was good in this movie.
His character is the superhero that you hope to see the fans... Like, he's going to go Matrix-style, slow-motion shoot everybody in the face at some point. He is a badass.
Right.
Project Badass.
And you got Chicory.
Which is Richard Jenkins. Which, it's sad that, like, who do I think of when you say an actor, like, what role do you think of them as? I go, oh, he's the fucking dad from Will Ferrell and John Reilly's stepdad. Not Step Brothers.
Yeah, he's a character actor. You've seen him in a million things, even if you don't know who we're talking about.
But, like, that's, like, the most recent thing I think of, and it's like, I think of him as that dad, and I'm like, oh, God, I didn't recognize him with the beard.
Right.
Didn't know it was him for a long time.
So, Bone Tomahawk has a very basic, simple plot. You have, they're not Indians. Right? Because that's racist.
So the plot of this movie, it is a weird way to have to start this thing. It's the Old West. we're on the Old West.
Yep.
What town are they in?
I don't know. Some small town.
There is a very small.
It's a low budget movie, so you're not going to see, it's not really like Tombstone where you're going to see like all of these people bustling about. Like you can look at this small town and you go like, okay, maybe 50 people live there.
It seems tiny, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the start of it, as like you said, it starts
really horrible and ends really horrible.
Let's say, this movie is a Western, but it's also a horror movie.
Right.
And it's not just a horror movie, it's like a traditional like slasher horror movie.
Right.
It's actually kind of dark,
But only in the...
But you said, like, right in the first scene is
only
like...
in the first scene?
It's Sid Haig and the guy from Scream.
Yeah, Arquette.
Arquette.
David Arquette.
Just, like, stabbing a dead guy in the neck.
Well, he's trying to cut the guy's throat. And it's like, it's kind of one of those, like, Old West things, like you were talking about the shootout earlier. It's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as the movie makes it seem. So he's sitting there just really trying to get through this guy's fucking neck, and the guy's, like, alive while he's doing it, and it's making horrible, gross, and grindy noises while he's doing it. And to emphasize that fact, later, that same guy who you thought the guy had...
No, it was a different guy.
Oh, okay.
It was one of the other ones. So it's two bandits who just basically, like...
had killed a camp.
Robbed and killed three people who were camping out in the wilderness.
Right.
One of the guys that's on the ground actually grabs his gun and tries to shoot one of them, and Sid Haig, like, kicks the gun away and then shoots the guy right in the face, I think.
Or, like, kills him.
And he tells him, he's like,
on his head or
there's 12 veins in the neck.
Yeah.
You got to cut every last one of them. My sister's boyfriend or husband was a doctor or dentist or something like that, and he went to medical school, and he tells you there's 12 veins. You got to cut them all.
Right.
And you're like, Jesus, that's fucking dark, man.
So right away, two things that are going to carry through in this movie. One is the violence, not for the whole movie, but when violence is revisited again, the movie does not fuck around.
My God!
And the dialogue, which I think is the reason to watch this movie.
Yeah, everyone said making this movie, the script, like the characters are so.
Do you remember? Did you look and see who? Do you remember who the guy is that wrote and directed the movie?
I'll look up his name up. It's not.
You should look up his name because I think this guy needs to be like you should be looking out for him. I think he's a very very talented writer. From what I understand, you had told me I think that he has actually written some Western novels. I'm going to seek those out.
And we told you I want to read that one. It's S. Craig Zoller.
Okay.
He's like I said, he's not
Zoller,
really...
like a German last name, Zoller.
Zahler.
That sounds like a name from.
He wrote Bone Tomahawk and Asylum Blackout. He's been a cinematographer. He's a director. He's done camera and electrical stuff. He composed the music and for the soundtrack of Bone Tomahawk. Like the guy's done. He said he's kind of done it all.
Yeah.
He's been around the bush. This is his first movie that's like his.
Yeah.
And he fucking knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. But again, specifically the dialogue. I mean, it's directed well. I like the way it's shot. Every other aspect of the movie is definitely there on display and is enjoyable. But the thing that is the most enjoyable about it is listening to these characters talk to each other.
And it's cool to see someone who wrote and direct. Like, it's not just a director comes in and shoots this movie. Like, it's his story.
Right.
He wrote it. He knows what he wants to see. He knows how the characters act. He knew everything about it. So when he shoots it very much the way that he envisioned it when he wrote it. You know.
So
the author of a Western novel, A Congregation of Jackals, which has been nominated for Western Writing Awards, The Spur and the Peacemaker.
Yeah.
And he has a dark Western script called The Brigands of Rattleboard.
Yeah, I want to see that. Whatever the fuck that
Number
is.
one top position on the blacklist for unproduced screenplays.
Right. Yeah.
So the guy's got some good skill.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that shit. All right, so we got Sid Haig and we got David Arquette, and basically they stumble into like, what would you call it?
Well, no, the gunshot. They heard people coming from like around.
They heard the gunshot.
Yeah, they could tell there's like a posse.
So they
of
start
people
running
coming.
away. They're gonna go hide up in the hills. And when they're running away from the crime scene and fleeing the crime scene or whatever, they make their way into some kind of ceremonial place. There's bones,
a lot of skulls of animals
and shit,
stuff.
right?
And humans, I think.
And human skulls, and just kind of very quickly, very violently and fast.
Well, you hear the whistle, right?
Well, or like a howl kind of.
It's a weird
scream.
howly whistle thing. Yeah.
Sid Haig gets just slaughtered.
I love there's a
He gets eviscerated.
Oh yeah.
Disemboweled. Like literally disemboweled. Like you use that term because you saw somebody's bowels come out of them. That's basically what happened. And David Arquette runs away.
Yeah, and as they're walking, I like there's a line that like as they're walking through, and David Arquette's like, I don't think we're not allowed to be here.
We've got permission. He holds up his gun.
Yeah.
It's great.
We'll get all the permission we need.
Great line.
Yeah, he thinks he's a badass because he has a gun,
right.
And he thinks like, oh, I'll just shoot anybody that fucks with me, and then the fucking arrow, shoot, just arrow right through your face or through his head, and then just being disemboweled by this like really dark kind of you can't quite see it creature.
Yeah, but all you can see is that it stands at least 2.5 feet taller or something like that. Sid Haig's a tall fucking guy.
It's bigger than him, yes.
Yeah.
Not 2.5 feet taller,
I know,
but he's large.
That's why you remind.
And at this point, it looks like a fucking monster.
Right.
Which kind of does a little disservice. But by the end of the movie, you see what they are, and they're not quite that mystical. But
they're basically the family from X-Files.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. And he runs off, and then the next thing is
to this town.
Yeah.
And so essentially the plot here is that he is leading this group of scary mutant monster hill people to this town.
Yes.
And but before any of that happens, you meet the cast. You meet this town.
You meet the sheriff.
You meet the sheriff,
which is
Kurt Russell. And you meet Matt Fox, who is just kind of a cool guy that hangs out in the town. I don't know. He's like the town. He's like the town show off. He's got a fancy suit. Everybody else is wearing like cowboy stuff. He's got all white linen. And he's very well to do, gentleman. And you meet Patrick Wilson.
Well, you meet the deputy.
So Chicory is the best character in the movie.
Kurt Russell is Sheriff Hunt.
Yeah.
Chicory obviously is deputy. Matthew Fox is Brooder.
Right.
And I think they call him like Dr. Brooder, Mr. Brooder, but they call him Brooder. You said Patrick Wilson.
Who is
so the reason
a
you
literal
meet him,
cowboy.
I mean, you meet him because Chicory had seen David Arquette's character burying something out in the dirt, like a bag of stuff.
While he was
on the outside of town.
While he was on a run. Fuck. Never mind. It's a cool Western word.
So everything. Whenever Chicory talks. It's like whenever anyone talks in this movie, you're like glued to everything they say. Everything is eloquent, well spoken, really interesting, good vocabulary. Like a lot of people are educated in this movie.
Yeah.
But he's out at a nighttime rummage or runsack or something like that, and he sees Arquette's character doing something shady, and he shows up in the bar. So he goes and tells the sheriff, "Hey, there's this guy at the bar who might be less than savory. Should we go check it out?"
Right.
And of course, the sheriff's like, "Fuck it, it's middle of the night. Let's go."
Yeah.
And I guess the sheriff has a tendency to shoot people in the leg.
Yeah.
It seems like people don't like him because he's kind of a shoot first, ask questions later.
Right.
And it's a good confrontation. He's just trying to be like, "What's your name? Oh, your name. Oh, you don't seem to know your name." Like, "Oh, what?"
It also shows he knows his shit though. Like he
knows how to
been doing
interrogate.
this enough to know that like this guy's killed some people.
Yeah.
Like I can tell. And he's gonna he might cause problems here, or he might have murdered somebody, and we can't let him go.
And then people are like, "Well, leave him alone, sheriff." Like, what? It does seem like, but he's right. He's the fucking law, and this guy obviously had done some shit.
Yeah.
And he ends up shooting him in the leg.
Right.
And so they got to get the doctor.
Get the nurse or doctor.
They got to get the doctor, and the doctor's either drunk or
he's gone, or I don't know what.
So who comes in is the nurse / other doctor of the village town is Patrick Wilson's wife.
Right.
So she goes in the middle of the night, and he got a busted ankle from trying to repair the roof or something.
So he's an actual cowboy. He herds cows and stuff like that, and that's what they call him, cowboy. They're all cowboys in our head.
Yeah.
But like a cowboy is actually like a cattle rancher or whatever. So he's stuck in bed, and they show their relationship is this movie is very sincere. It's got a really good sense of humor, but it's also very sincere. Like their relationship, Patrick Wilson, his wife, like movie really wants to go out of its way to show you that they very much love each other.
Yeah.
And this guy would literally do, especially like in the old West, like we've talked about, like she's very good looking. They have a good time in bed. They have a good relationship.
Yeah.
You know, she takes care of him. Like she's the perfect wife. Of course, you would do the things that Patrick Wilson would do in this movie to save her. I of course say save her because
She gets kidnapped?
she gets kidnapped.
I was like, what do you want me to say? Yeah. Yeah, well, she goes to operate on David Arquette's character.
Right.
And she's
like, this is going to take a while. I'm going to be here for...
And then you get the stable boy who's going into the barn at night going, who's in the barn? And
right.
they just,
It's a slasher scene there.
and another fucking dirty dark horror. And then, long story short, tells the sheriff, hey, this kid got chopped to bits in the barn. Like, who the fuck would do this? Was he eaten by wolves? Whatever.
And our prisoner's missing, and Patrick Wilson's wife is missing.
Yeah, and so is one of the deputies.
And so is the
Nick.
deputy, one of the deputies, the actual deputy, the young guy that looks like the Chicory is more of like, let's make him feel like he's being
He's like the volunteer fireman of the
like
group.
his wife is he's a widower, and you can tell he like misses his wife and just wants to do something to keep his mind occupied and all that kind of stuff, and he likes Kurt Russell.
So yeah, they find the arrow in the station. So obviously they go, okay, well, you think to yourself, well, those people are all dead because these like savages got them.
Right.
But they're saying no, they were kidnapped.
Right.
It's kind of cool. They have like an actual Native American who lives in town, who's fucking really educated, and smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
But they also treat him as like, you're a dirty redskin.
Yeah.
Who, like, even though we're like, you're intelligent, you're still one of them. And it's like, dude,
I don't feel like everybody treats him that way.
Well, but the idea that like
Bruder does, because Bruder clearly has a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Native Americans.
And he, it's like, God, dude, he's a professor.
Yeah.
They call him the fucking professor. He teaches and shit. Like, dude, give him some slack. But they're like, oh, you know where they would be. You know who they are. And then it turns out he's like, yeah, I do know who they are. Like, I have stories from when I was a kid. So it's like, they're kind of assholes to him, but at the same time, it's like, no, he still is a Native American.
Yeah.
He knows better than they do.
Yeah. So what does he call them?
Troglodytes.
Troglodytes.
I always think of Trogdor when I hear that.
So he lays it all out for them pretty quick. There's not like we're going to discover what they are later. We find out that they're actually exactly what this guy describes them to be.
His story is like, I'm a Native American. I lived in tribes and I became educated. There's other tribes. We don't even fuck with these guys.
Nobody does.
We stay the fuck away from these guys. And he goes, I'm not going out there with you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. He's like, you're going to die.
Yeah.
They don't. My advice is don't do it.
And he's the expert tracker. He'd be the one to show them where to go, where they are, and he's like, not a fucking chance in hell.
Right. So he says that these guys fuck their mothers, and they're cannibals, and they're not human as far as he's concerned. Yeah. Like he said, they're not human. They're troglodytes.
And you're just like, well, how bad are these?
Yeah.
This is a story,
right?
But like how
the hills have eyes,
Oh yeah.
But
totally.
This is but with a different slant on it. So that's the plot. Our plot is, okay, these big scary monster people, they come and they take the princess, right? And now we gotta go save the princess.
The pretty white people.
Yeah. And that's most of the movie, is this them traveling to go.
They gather up a posse.
They gather their posse.
Which is all right, we're on a fucking Western again.
And the professor gets the map out and says, this is where they're at. So they know where they have to go. And they're going to go get them.
And it's the sheriff.
It's the sheriff.
Chicory, the deputy. What is he? The deputy.
He's the backup deputy.
The backup deputy. That's how you commented on everyone's Amazon review.
Well, you keep saying it's the official opinion of the backup deputy.
Yeah, yada yada yada. Like if something bad's coming up, he's like, it's the official opinion of the backup deputy that this is a bad idea.
Right.
So you go and write your Amazon comments. This is the official opinion of the backup deputy that you're an imbecile.
Well, because at one point that's what Patrick Wilson calls him. He's like, oh, you dumb imbecile, and then like later he apologizes, like, I'm sorry, I called you a dumb imbecile.
Yeah, the writing in this movie is so good. All the characters are so well fleshed out, and the way they talk with each other and the way they interact is just so authentic. And
they're likable.
Yes.
This is like the most important thing. They're all incredibly likable. Even when Bruder's like being an asshole, by the end of the thing, like it doesn't matter. Like you like everybody.
He's one of those guys where he's a womanizer.
Yeah.
And he's very arrogant.
Yeah.
But he seems like he's earned his arrogance.
Right.
And two, he is kind of a badass.
Yeah.
And you are kind of scared of him. He has shifty little eyes.
Yeah.
Like, he could be a bad dude. And even Patrick Wilson's like, So what happened was he went and got the nurse that night. So he feels responsible for her getting kidnapped because he's.
But
the
he's
one
also got a big crush on her.
Badger says, "Don't mess with my wife." You know, it's like, "Don't worry, sir. I wouldn't even." You know, because obviously something happened in the past.
Yeah,
with him.
clearly, like he was courting
Everyone
her at
knows.
one point.
Don't get around my wife, you asshole. You know, he's a huge womanizer.
So this is where the movie falls. With these people, they put the 1-star reviews for this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like, oh my god, this movie's so boring. I couldn't get because it's just them walking around in the desert. You know,
that's where I found that I like westerns. I like to see people out again, the outback. When you fucking I don't know what to call it.
The plains, the great, the
on
West.
Horses, traveling for days, sweating, carrying a bunch of supplies.
Just little things like the brooder takes the string, the tripwire, and puts it around his whole camp and attaches bells to it. And he says, if you hear it, just shoot because
they're going to sleep for the night in their little camp. It's kind of funny because you go back to like the Old West. Like I said, how does anything ever get done? How did technology get so good? How did people learn to use machines? Like it just seems like they have fucking outhouses, but yet they could like make a cool pair of boots that had a pair of like aces from like card playing aces. It's hard to understand that era. But you think they're not dumb people. They have brains just like us. Wouldn't they think of cool things like a wire with little dangly sounds on it as an ambush thing?
Yeah.
That's what I would think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seems like the only person who comes from like modern thinking.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just a dumb cowboy or, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, the idea of if you hear this jingle jangle, just shoot into the darkness.
Basically, I mean, you have Bruder who's being, like you said, like he's cutting edge. He's got ideas that nobody else is going to think of.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell's the practical one. He's the one that's like, well, we just need to look at our choices here and make the best decision. Like, and then you've got
Chicory will back up the sheriff no matter what.
No matter what, yeah.
He'll give him his opinion on what they should do, but he'll back up the sheriff.
But then we find out that actually Chicory was a surgeon in the war, I would imagine the Civil War.
Yeah, he's a
and so, oh shit, like, and even Bruder's like gotta give him like some, like now they see your hand is steady, you can hold the German.
Being like not the telescope, but the.
It's just wonderful things like that. Like Bruder has a very fancy telescope, or what do you call it, eyepiece.
It's like the telescoping monocular.
I don't know what the fuck you call it.
It's the one you see on a
It's a German.
It's the one you would see in a pirate movie. They would pull it out and look for the other boat.
Right.
And he got it in Germany.
And
he very much says, if you're going to break it, are you going to go travel back to Germany for me and get another one?
Exactly. So Chicory's like, oh, can I hold it? He really just wants to check it out.
Chicory's a very simple man.
Yeah.
But he's smarter than you think he is.
He will have a whole conversation about reading in bathtubs. That's what.
He never shuts up.
The ins and outs of reading in a bathtub.
Everyone's trying to sleep, and he's like, "Hey, Sheriff, are you awake?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about reading in a bathtub."
Yeah.
Why?
But when you see him get all excited when he's like, oh boy, when I get back, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's a hot fire idea.
Get a podium.
Yeah. Chicory's great.
My feet, I keep getting the book wet when I try to turn the pages.
Yeah. So basically, you have this whole middle section, and you are getting to know these guys. It's, again, just they're great characters.
Oh, and we mentioned Patrick Wilson is injured.
Patrick Wilson is, as far as the plot is concerned and moving the action forward, Patrick Wilson has the broken leg.
Yes.
So this is a big deal. Like, this is most of what that and then him
They're like, you're going to slow us down, but
Right.
it's your wife, so I have to kind of take you with me.
Right.
He tells them, we're going to ride rough, we're going to go,
Right.
but we need to make a 5 days journey in 3.
Yeah.
We're going to let up a little bit to help you.
Right.
But we have to push.
Right.
We're going out into the fucking nowhere,
Yeah. And so that situation slowly gets worse and worse and deteriorates over time. Like he
starts getting kind of gangrene and.
Well, the first thing that happens is they lose their horses.
So yeah, we'll talk about the gangrene. Yeah, so that whole thing with the if you hear the ambush, just shoot.
Right.
First one he shoots is a fucking wolf or something, right?
Yeah.
You hear it, ooh.
Which is funny because it's like a whole like they're kind of talking about Bruder because they think he's asleep. Like they're talking about him while he literally just stands up like fucking Frankenstein's monster or like Dracula or some shit and just like pulls out his gun.
No, he doesn't even stand up. He just shoots.
No, he just like sits up. Like he sits up like from a sleeping position, just shoots out into the dark, and you just hear it.
Yeah. Oh, I love. So this is another thing about the Old West and like those old Colts and those pistols and stuff. You think about like the sandalwood grips on Roland's guns from Dark Tower, and they're fucking powerful.
Right.
I don't know how strong a bullet from one of those guns is compared to like nowadays.
Yeah.
Because they seem fucking powerful, but at times they also seem like you could gut shot a guy and it doesn't kill him for days. But when those things fire, boom!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Like you feel they did a good job of making you feel the gunshot.
Yeah.
It's a 6-shooter. It's only got a couple bullets. Every shot counts. Every shot is powerful.
Right.
Yeah, when you fire into the nighttime and that fucking flare goes out from the gun, it's fucking cool.
Yeah. So later on, with the whole like tripwire thing, his whole explanation for it is like he said, if you hear something, just shoot, because it's either an animal, it's a predator, which was shoots the wolf,
I love his reasoning. Yeah.
Or it's a brigand. You know, anybody that
it's a savage coming to kill you in your sleep and steal your shit.
Right.
And they're like, well, how do you know? He's like, because anyone else who isn't a savage would announce who they are
their presence.
from a good distance.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, makes sense.
So at some point there are these two gentlemen.
Why do you say gentlemen and smirk at me?
Well, because part of it is they're Mexicans, right? And that's like they keep bringing it up, like you shouldn't have shot those Mexicans. Like there's certainly like some. The movie is saying stuff. It's not putting it in your face.
But this is another one of those things where like this is the time.
Right.
You know, when you in Tombstone, actually it's really interesting. There's a big pan when they first come into town. There's a lot of Chinamen, and there's the opium den, obviously.
Right.
But they're Chinamen. They were building the railroads.
Yeah.
They're super fucking racist. Like that's the way it was. You know.
So
think about Hateful. You know, they don't trust no goddamn.
Well, that's
Mexicans.
a completely different movie,
right? but it's not. I mean, the guy who made it, I think he's Hispanic. I'm not even sure. But the idea is like that's how they were treated back then, if they were good or not. You know?
Kurt Russell wasn't into it. Bruder just shoots these guys like they're in the middle of...
Well, they had a standoff.
Right. No, they never pulled their guns out. It wasn't a standoff.
Meaning that like they all had their guns pointed at these two guys, and they're saying like, "Who are you?"
Right.
Take your gun out, throw it on the ground. Is your buddy got a weapon? You know.
Yeah.
And then Bruder just snaps and.
Well, he just decides that these guys are.
Bad news.
That they're distracting us or whatever, and pretty soon there's going to be like a whole group of them to get us.
Yeah.
And so he just shoots them. You know, Kurt Russell like does not agree.
And he even says like, I might be the sheriff and out here. I'm gonna let it go, but you're gonna serve justice when we get back, or we're gonna have a talk about this.
Right.
Once this is all over.
Yeah. But it actually kind of turns out that Bruder was probably right.
Oh yeah.
So they move camp because
I love
they
it. And
Bruder
goes, it's like, now we got to do a cold camp.
Right.
We got to go sleep somewhere with no fire because we don't want to draw any attention.
Right.
We kind of want to sabotage anyone that is looking for us.
Right. So
God, I would not want to live in the old fucking West.
It's awful.
Everyone's looking for shooting each other in the back, and fucking hate it.
So of course they go and find a spot with like good cover or whatever, and they do good. You know, they go to bed. And it's a cool cut. Patrick Wilson actually, something is kind of disturbing his sleep. He wakes up, he hears a slight struggle. It's kind of similar to David Arquette in the beginning of the movie. Like somebody is trying to kill Bruder, trying to.
Well, see, that's the thing is, at first I didn't know who or what was happening.
Yeah.
And I was nervous as fuck because the idea of just shooting to the dark, not just the dark, but like don't take time to figure out what's going on, just shoot.
Right.
I'm thinking friendly fire.
Right.
Someone's gonna shoot the wrong person.
Yeah.
And then...
But of course he shoots this guy that's been trying to stab Bruder.
He's got a knife like in his shoulder.
Yeah. So you imagine maybe the guy's got like his hand over Bruder's mouth or something like that.
Yeah, he's like muffled screaming.
Because like his, you know, that's all you hear. Because Bruder so he shoots the guy off of, Patrick Wilson shoots the guy off of Bruder. Bruder's got like a stab wound like in his shoulder or something like that. I don't remember if somebody else gets shot, but he was technically right. Whoever it was that was left of this group or whatever. Actually, this is where it's ambiguous. It's ambiguous
because
if you ask Chicory, if you ask Chicory, he would say that the only reason they fucked with them that night was because
they shot the guy.
Because they shot those guys.
What happens after he shoots those two guys in the beginning? And Patrick Wilson's on the ground with his legs, so he can't get up and kind of investigate. Yeah. Chicory goes over and looks at him, says Caesar's dead. One of them had a rosemary. Rose beads? Rosemary
crucifix
beads.
Crucifix,
sorry, that's what and he goes, and I think he was a priest. Like he had a white collar on maybe?
I don't know.
The idea that he's like, you shot a religious man, whatever.
Right.
And he goes, Patrick Wilson goes, what happens? He goes, he just educated two Mexicans on the ways of the frontier.
Yeah.
It's just so eloquent. Like he just educated those Mexicans. Like that's such a nice way of saying he just shot these two guys.
Right. Everybody's very matter of fact and eloquent with the things that they say.
That's the best part of the movie is just hearing them talk. But he's very much like, well, they came after you because you shot those two guys.
Right.
And he's saying no.
So you can look at it either way.
The other two were scouts.
If you ask Bruder, they'd be like, nope, I killed those two scouts, and they came at us, and unfortunately we weren't able to fend them off this time.
And they stole their horses.
Yeah. Oh, the scene with the horse is so sad. That's
you say that out loud, right? Anyone who hasn't seen it just goes, you say that, I already know how this is. You already know what's gonna happen because horses and shit. Like it just sounds like
just like put that one in like Never Ending Story with like Atreyu and the fucking horse.
Old Yellow. Old Yeller, and
it's a bump. But that's like one of those scenes. Like Bruder's been kind of an asshole up until that point, and
but I also like the idea that he goes, they wouldn't steal my horse. My horse would never let anyone take it.
Right.
So something's off here.
Yeah.
And then he walks down and goes, oh no, they didn't take your horse.
Yeah.
Because
your horse did put up a fight. And
yeah, exactly. And you kind of feel like, oh good, his horse was magnificent beast. Yeah. Like you kind of like, okay, good, he really did train a horse. Like, see, to me that goes, this guy's got not just skill, but like he knows how to handle a horse. Like he's a stand-up man, even though he's kind of an asshole. Yeah. You have to respect his skill, and he's good at what he does, and he speaks like an arrogant asshole, but he can back it up.
But this is the cool moment, because before this, again, you have Bruder and Chicory fighting, and then you had Bruder and Kurt Russell fighting after shooting the Mexicans and stuff like that. But after this scene with the horse,
which obviously the horse is injured and it's not dead.
He's got to put it down.
To put her down. And
he says, like, thank you for your service or something like that. And it clearly fucks him up that he has to do it. And his friend, so Chicory, they say he was a good horse. This is funny. This is manliness stuff. Like this bro down, like masculine shit. Like, he
has feelings.
Yeah, it's like,
and Chicken's like, I can respect that you might be rough around the edges, but you're not dead inside.
Right.
And I'm sorry for your loss.
I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah.
And it means a lot to say that at this point.
And it's
the characters are so good in this movie.
They are.
The best thing about this movie is the writing.
Like later in the scene that we're not going to talk about yet, but that whole like help is on the way. The general and the other people are coming. Like, why did you tell me? Because like that's what I would want to hear. There's a lot of like that's what I would want to hear. Like politics. Like like the politics of being a sincere gentleman. Like being a good man, like you say to somebody, it was a good horse, seemed like a good horse, like to somebody, because that made it. Yes, he's like, thank you for that, thank you for saying that to me.
Also, this goes back to living in the Old West, the toughness of these people. So now you're days away from town, days away from where you need to be. You have no means of transportation, and they had to bury a lot of their supplies because now they're going to go on foot.
Right.
So they're like, we can't take everything with us. We can't leave it here because someone's going to steal it. So we'll bury it all. How are you going to survive?
Yeah.
You're dead, aren't you? You're dead. You have no horses. You're dead.
Man. Yeah.
It's very good game over. But no, to them, they're just like, we're going to trot on in these fucking suits in the sun.
Yep.
Like, how the...
So at one point when you show Patrick Wilson...
1,000 degrees out there?
Patrick Wilson has like a shirt and a vest and like another thing on, like 3 different layers. And later on in the movie, just a huge sweat stain on his back. Like that was like what I was thinking. I'm like, fuck. That would be like, wear a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and a jacket over that, and I'm fucking still sweating through the back of it. It's crazy.
But so at this point now, there's no horses, and you have a guy with a broken leg.
Right. So now you have this guy that can't keep up, right? And he will not give up. So he goes, fine, I will sleep. We'll work it out.
No, he's like, I'll go ahead.
Right.
You guys keep sleeping.
Right.
When you catch up to me,
right,
then you can pass me.
Right.
Just leave a trail of like.
And then whenever you stop, I'll catch up. Basically. And at this point, again, it's just good movie making. You're mentally writing off Patrick Wilson.
Like they didn't turn around and go home. They weren't turncoats. They're still on the mission.
Right.
Like wow, even with all that shit happening and it looks dire and you have nothing, you're still going forward rather than going back.
Right. We should probably mention that Kurt Russell was also has a wife in this movie.
She's
not. I kind of care.
Oh, because there's that one scene later on you want to talk about.
Like, yeah.
She very much said is like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like let it go.
Just honor, like you have to, right?
She loves him and he loves her, and it's like, isn't it more important that you're here and alive rather than going on this like suicide mission?
I'm a sheriff. It's my responsibility.
He has a very moral sense of like.
And I also asked her to come and do this thing. It's kind of my fault, all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to bring it up briefly because there's this payoff scene later.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Obviously, I saw the movie too.
So what are we doing? So let's skip it. They make their way to the place. Okay.
That's the majority of the middle of the movie is the trek and basically the confrontation with the Mexicans, and then seeing some of their tactics, seeing some of their gear, and then now they're on their way.
Just getting to know these guys, and get these characters getting to know each other, like fleshing out all these different dynamics. Like Chicory and Bruder, like a very kind of childish
because Chicory's like the old man who's got a lot of knowledge, and he doesn't like a hot-headed young man who's tries to talk shit, but
he doesn't like him being a show-off because he thinks Kurt Russell's the shit, and he doesn't like anybody acting like they're better than him.
And then you find out the reason why Bruder is such an asshole is that
his family was massacred by Indians.
Yeah, Native Americans.
And
he's gone on a vendetta basically his whole life to kind of just kill them all.
And he definitely, he goes out of his way to say it. Like, I've killed more Indians than all of you. Out of all of us, I have killed the most.
That's just a fact.
It's just a fact.
I'm not showing off. But
Right.
he didn't ask like what the tally is. He's like 183 or something like that.
It wasn't that high. I think it was like 60 something.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And then they kind of go, whoa, like, yeah, you really have killed a lot of them.
Yeah.
We knew there was some there, but Jesus, you are a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
But he's a fucking superhero. You know, he's got the cool gadgets. Like you said, he's a new age man.
James Bond.
Yeah.
All right, so they eventually make their way to, what do we call it? The hill where the troglodytes live. Like,
Yeah, they start to see the signs of like, they use the German to look and go,
Right.
which valley?
It was a
multiple
bummer. It's like,
valleys.
as soon as they, like, I don't know how far. How far away?
Ooh, wait. Patrick Wilson at this point can't go on anymore.
Yeah, so they completely leave him behind, and the film kind of writes him off. There's a point where it's like, we got to talk about your leg. We can't just pretend that you're
Yeah.
going to catch up with us or whatever. They look at it looks awful, like he fell or something like that. Bruder's is an asshole. He says like an asshole thing, and he tries to take a swing at him, and he falls over, and basically like it looks like he re-breaks his leg. Essentially,
I feel like Bruder like caused that on purpose.
Oh, sure, he was
so
total
that
dick.
he would injure his leg more, so he'd have to stop.
I didn't think of it that way. I didn't
Because if you think about like the conversation they're having and what he says to him, and then he causes him to swing and then
Right.
fall forward, it's almost like, oh, he did that on purpose so that
It's possible.
he fucked his leg up even more.
Right.
Because he's like, you're holding us back at this point. We have to let you go.
So,
And I need you to explain what happened here because I'm kind of confused.
well, Chicory looks at it, and
we need to amputate your leg.
Kurt Russell's like, we're gonna take your leg. There's no way. And Patrick Wilson says, fuck you. It's my decision. It's my leg. You're not taking my legs. Just set it.
I like that. That
The
was very
danger
much
being if you just set it, like the infection could come. It'll kill you.
Right.
It won't just be like you'll lose your leg later. Like you'll die. So he says, no, just set the leg.
What I was going to say was that it's kind of an interesting, like, that's very much, the freedom in the Old West is like, it's not your decision. Just because
Right.
you're a doctor, it's my body. I can
get
do what I
political
want
about
with
it's
it.
my body, and I get to do with my
Right,
body.
but it was, in that context, like, that makes a lot of sense because you'd be like, no, you don't have a choice here.
Right.
But it's like, no, if you're choosing to let your fucking disease kill you, then
Right.
I have to respect the decision.
Right.
It's crazy to think that way, but it makes sense here.
So he sets the leg, and Patrick Wilson essentially just passes out.
Well, 'cause that's what I meant. I thought they were going to take the leg. I thought he finally agreed.
He wanted. No, I mean he says, don't take my leg. Just
And
set
I
it.
understand setting it, but then he hits it with the fucking hammer.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And it cuts to black. So.
and they're breaking the bone to cut it off, right?
No, it's like he's putting it back in. He's hammering it back into his leg.
Here's the thing about me. Well, come back. Obviously, he wakes up later and he continues his trek with the
Right.
fucked up leg. He gives him some opium and
Right.
says,
He
"Sip
says,
it a little
only
bit."
take a little bit of this. You're gonna pass out or whatever.
Yeah,
if you-
yeah. So I thought when he woke up, he was expecting
tincture.
Yeah,
Tincture.
He expected to not see his leg.
Right.
I thought his leg was gonna be gone, and they're like, "Oh, he didn't amputate the leg. He just fucking did something to it." And then when he woke up, he's like, "I still got my leg."
No, if you go back and you watch it, there's actually like, okay, if you don't want him to take your leg, you won't take it. Like they actually acknowledge wishes.
But then when he's like bite the bullet kind of thing, I thought it's because he decided,
No,
fine,
it's because it's fucking
gonna set it
hurt. He's
right.
gonna
I
hit
get
his
it.
broken leg with a hammer.
I get it now. That's why I wanted to ask you because I
Yeah.
wasn't quite sure on that scene.
So that's important because you're supposed to forget about Patrick Wilson as a
Yeah.
movie watcher, and then just okay, we're gonna follow these.
So
three
here's
guys
where
now.
it's gonna get good. You start to see the
So we're third act of the movie now. We have gotten to the bad guys lair.
layer. Yeah.
So this is what I like. So the German, right? And we have a nice character moment because finally he lets Chicory use the German.
Yeah.
And how far away would you say, based on that?
I have no idea.
Just take a wild guess. Like that first scene where they're looking through the German versus where they actually end up. How far away would you say they are from that? Mile
I
or so?
guess.
At least a mile,
I
right?
mean, there's multiple valleys, and I'm like, how to be able to see multiple
And
valleys?
they couldn't even really make it out, right? Like they
Right.
could kind of see it. Like you couldn't even really tell what they're looking
But,
at.
I mean, if you can see multiple valleys, that means you have a wide berth to be able to see more than one valley. I mean, yeah. I
My
don't
point
know.
is that they're supposed to have the element of surprise, supposedly.
Yeah.
And you're looking at this and it just looks like a bunch of nothing. Like it's just like
Open land.
It's like Afghanistan. Like that must be what you're like. Oh, it's a big desert. And like no, go out there. There's fucking 10 million hidey holes. You know.
Yeah.
And you're looking at that and you're like, okay, so they're gonna. And then you hear that same screechy howl that
Well,
you
no,
heard.
they see like they get to before that they get to like I almost call it like a ravine in a way. It's like it's two cliffs right next to each other in a very narrow passageway. And he goes, "I'm gonna go in. You guys
Well, my
stay
point
out
is,
here."
before they do that, though, they hear that sound.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive because I'm
And
positive.
then he says, "Oh no, they hear it in the middle of the night."
Yes. My point is that they're not even anywhere like close to the front doorstep of this
Right.
place, and they know they're there.
Yeah, they know they've been spotted.
They've been spotted, and they have to keep going. Like, how would that feel? Like, you would just be like, if somebody sounds a trumpet, and you're like, great, all right, well, we got to keep going. Like, they know that we're coming.
And it's like, yeah, it was the middle of the night. It's dark,
Yeah.
and they know that they see them even then.
Yeah. Like who they might just be like
and he even
50
says,
yards away in the
goes,
dark and seeing it. You know?
He goes, did you hear that? He goes, I thought I was just imagining that. I thought it was just the wind. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I hear it too. And he goes, pretty sure I heard that the night of the attack. And then I'll go, God damn it.
Yeah.
This isn't just like some bird. This is them.
Yeah. So okay. So they've gotten to this like narrow ravine.
That narrow thing, like literally, is like shoulder width.
Right.
And he's like, I'm gonna walk in, which
is smart. It's just like these troglodytes like intentionally like set it up that way so that it'll funnel people
and
into
I think
this
that it had like skulls implanted in the walls. So he goes, I'm gonna go in, count 30 seconds on your watch. I'm gonna throw this rock back.
And then if I don't, just that means they got me and
come in blazing, I guess. Or maybe he said turn around and go. I don't remember what he says, but he goes in. It's super fucking tense.
It's super tense. Yeah,
you're waiting. And Kurt Russell's looking at his watch. He's like, oh, shit, it's almost been 30 seconds. And then the stone, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Okay, he's good.
Yeah.
And so they leave their gear there because they can't really fit through.
They're getting ready now that we're gonna have to fight. I'm not gonna go running around with this big heavy pack on me.
And they go in, and then they see the big opening on the side of a cliff that's way above them that has ropes hanging down from it. So you can say not only are, like you said, it's an open area. There's nowhere. There's hidey holes to get to the entrance. It's up a fucking cliff with ropes.
Right.
There's no, like, I can't even just walk in. I'd have to scale this super steep cliff thing.
Which makes you wonder how the fuck did Patrick Wilson go?
He went the back way.
Right, he went the back way.
He was smart. So they're planning their attack at this point, and then all hell just breaks loose.
Yeah, their fucking plan.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the movie makes...
So, this is what it's about Bruder being the superhero. I'm excited for the Matrix shootout with this guy.
Yeah.
He's the one who knows how to shoot good.
Right.
He knows all the tactics.
Right.
I'm all like, God, he's going to fucking get badass. He's going to shoot behind it. He's going to do gun kata at this point, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And he goes out pretty quick, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just like the beginning of the movie. It's just so quiet and so fast. This assault of
it goes back to what
arrows
Roland says.
and fucking. If you ever care, so you want to know what a bone tomahawk is? A bone tomahawk is like a jawbone for like a bison or something like that.
Some animal bone that's been sharpened to ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like a razor.
And it's
they're throwing them like hatchets, like you've seen in movies before, and just decapitate.
Because it's not a blunt instrument; it's like a surgical tool.
It's like a surgical tool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a scalpel. Whip, there's your skin gone.
Yeah.
But so I think an arrow hits.
I don't remember exactly how it goes because it happens so fucking fast. I think that
an arrow hits Kurt Russell in the arm.
Yeah.
And then like a rock hits
Chicory in the head. Chicory in the head.
Or something like that. Yeah, like it deflects and goes bing.
Right.
Off, and
Bruder loses his so somebody shoots one of them in the he drops one of these bone tomahawks on Bruder's hand. Like it's not like he doesn't try to chop off his hand. Nobody chops off his hand.
The beauty of this scene is that, like you said, the action is so fast. Like in reality, when a gunfight, it's over so quick.
Yeah.
It's really quick.
Yeah.
And you kind of black out and you're like, whoa, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
It was so quick that the way they shot this in a way that it was super hectic. There was no time to react. Right. It was just like, oh, I'm on the ground. I'm gonna fucking pull my gun out and shoot a guy, and the thing flew through the air, and then what the fuck? Pshoo! Oh, god damn it. Yeah. I think Chicory or whatever, he shoots one of the guys running at him, and the guy falls, and as he falls, he throws his weapon in the air,
right?
And it just lands on Bruder's arm.
It made me think of a story somebody told me. So people have those samurai swords in their house, but they're bullshit, like not real ones, or whatever. And you
not battle ready.
No, but like somebody told me a story about like their family had one, or I don't know what, and it was like a legit one, and they were fucking around with it, and they just dropped it. Not like trying to hit each other or whatever. Just dropped it from like waist high, and it landed on somebody's like foot, like on the way down, and just fucking went through the shoe, went through the thing, went through the and almost like he lost his toes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. That's what made me think about it. That thing is so fucking sharp and so heavy.
It just like him just kind of like
it chopped his hand off. It just took his hand off.
Yeah, flinging it through the air, just like dropping it, not throwing it.
Right, just kind of.
Okay, and that's where I was like landing on his hand. I'm like, oh, that must have hurt. I didn't realize his hand was off.
Yeah.
He got a hand off.
Yeah, it's separated at the wrist, just like that.
And Bruder immediately is just like, God fucking damn it, that was my shooting hand?
Yep.
I'm done for. There's really nothing left for me at this point. And it's like, no, dude, you're not going to die. You can do whatever. But he's just like, there's no point in living.
Right.
Like, it's like, my hand was everything.
Yeah. I'm a very vain man or something.
Yeah.
So, he's like, give me one of my cigars, leave me.
So wait, they killed two of them. One of them by gunshot, the other one by like a rock or something?
I don't remember.
And then Kurt Russell got an arrow in his arm. He just goes, snaps it out.
Right. No, you don't take it out all the way. Yeah, you just snap it, right?
So
if I were to shoot with an arrow, I'd know better. Because you don't want to take the arrow out, you'll bleed. You got to leave it in, just snap it.
So he just snaps it and he's got an arrow sticking out of his arm.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bruder's just like fucking bleeding. God damn it. And he's just, give me the dynamite. Give me all the dynamite we have and just let me set a trap.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, it's like cool if you had a claim, like Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow? Is that the...
Or Tom Cruise?
Yeah. Like, give me a claymore, give me a thing of bombs,
Yeah.
Like, dynamite, what are you going to do with that? Because they're not going to, like, step... Unless they're going to try to pick you up and carry you and you're just going to blow them up.
Right.
But Give me the 6 sticks of dynamite, and I'll have a glorious, I'll go out with style.
Right. And, we'll make this worth it, he says to him. Please see that you do.
Yeah.
And, that's it for Bruder.
Yeah.
Because he gets a Bone Tomahawk to the face.
He does take out one more, though. He shoots one with his left hand.
Right.
So later, obviously Patrick Wilson later on comes by, and he sees that he didn't get to set the dynamite
face
off.
Cleaved in half.
Yeah, but I was like, what was the like? Are you going to blow up multiple with the dynamite? But yeah, he shot one of them, and that was his last thing.
Right.
Damn it, Kurt Russell and Chicory they run away. They run back through to like that shallow ravine.
That's right. They did. They want to regroup because that's where they right.
And on their way out, they get fucking ambushed and knocked out.
Yeah.
And they get dragged back up. Rather, they didn't kill them. They're like, we're gonna go take you hostage, basically, up in our cool little prison.
Yep. And so then Bone Tomahawk
becomes the most talked about scene in any movie of the year.
You want to just skip this part?
It's
people haven't. So we've already spoiled the shit.
No,
out of the
I want to
movie,
say I want to say the words out loud of what happens. It has to be said.
Okay, so before you do that,
I mentioned it to my wife.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'm not going to show it to you.
Yeah.
I don't even want you to see this. This is the stuff of nightmares. Like literally the stuff of nightmares. Oh God. You watch like.
So these are the 1-star reviews that I spared.
Yeah.
Like I skipped them and decided not to like write anything bad. If it was just like that was horrible. Like the movie that is like that I so wish I hadn't seen that it's hard for me to not hate this movie because that's such a and it's like I can't fault you for that. Like I can handle it. I've watched horror movies and stuff, even though it's like really bad. But like I can imagine being somebody and like, oh, we're watching this Kurt Russell Western. Oh God, I can't unsee it.
So I literally I showed it to like one other person at work, and I just like I can't show this to people. This is horrific.
Yeah.
And then I haven't had any bad dreams, but like I'm waiting for the time that I have a fucking dream about this. So we finally see the monsters. I guess you could the troglodytes. They're just big fucking Native Americans, but they're covered in ash. They're gray,
and they're fucking huge, mongoloid. And okay, so let me ask you. So they have the thing in the neck.
Okay, we'll talk about that. I'm not ready to.
Not yet.
Yet.
Okay.
They do have bones. Like he has tusks. They have
like body modifications.
Exactly. They have like modified animal bones into their own body. No, they're not fucking.
Well, that's what I was asking about the neck, though. We'll get to it. All right, fair enough. All right, so
I went back and watched that again.
They're captured. They put them in their little makeshift jail.
Yeah, they have a makeshift
jail. Who's still alive?
And they find Patrick Wilson's wife.
She's still there. She's still
alive.
And
so is the sheriff deputy.
And so is the sheriff deputy. The
prisoner.
David Arquette. They said they ate him.
Oh yeah, these are cannibals.
Yeah. So
they're trying to think of a way out, and then they come in and the sheriff deputy's not doing too well either. He's like sick.
One thing before then, he's sick.
Or he's injured because they probably beat him up or something like that.
So it's important to mention that Kurt Russell asks Patrick Wilson's wife character, do you know how many?
Right.
Because that's like kind of an important, like now you're paying attention, right? It's like, well, we took out this many, and she says there's this many. It's like, it's
like
a little
12 or 13.
It's a little deflating because you're like, she says like 12 and you're like, fuck.
But you're also like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like it's only a dozen of this class. It's like they're not that big. They're just, each one of them is crazy. And they said they've already taken out 3, so there's 9 left.
Right.
So he's like, okay, so if he comes and we can get a couple more, whatever. But yeah, they come in and I guess they're hungry.
Go ahead. You got it. You got this, boy. You got it.
I'm just hyped the fuck out of this scene because you know what? Unless you're an asshole, there's no amount of hype that you could be like, oh, it was disappointing when I watched it. No, this is fucking horrific in an awesome way. They take Nick out, and he's just like, no, don't. He's just like, my brothers. Go send all my stuff back to my brothers in Michigan. All my stuff was actually theirs. And he's like, okay.
Like he knows he's going to die.
Yeah. And he's telling the sheriff, his last.
This is while they're like sort of very ragdolly, like pouring him out of his own clothes, basically.
Ripping his clothes off.
Like if you had a dead guy and you were taking clothes off him and you had super strength. Like that's essentially what it looked like.
Well, because like he said, he was like kind of sick, so he's not really fighting back.
No, he's got nothing.
They're just manhandling him.
Yeah.
So
stripped butt naked.
Yeah, butt naked, little dong. He gets a little dong action in this movie. No. It's real art when you get a male dong.
That's how you know it's indie.
And he's talking to the sheriff. He's like I said, giving him his last will and testament.
Which is funny because they actually kind of because they got him down on his knees and they're holding his hair back, and it's almost like they're letting him talk to say like his last words or whatever.
So the big leader guy grabs a.
Wait, should I tell you about Jessica's reaction to this before or after you talk about this?
Tell me before, because I want to hype the scene up even more.
So we're again, like, remember I mentioned earlier, I said Jessica's a very good indicator of quality. Because if it's late at night, if she's still engaged at that point, A+ movie.
Right.
And I forgot that this was a horror Western movie. You know what I mean? Like, I forgot it because it's such a true blue Western. No, I hadn't seen it yet.
Right.
We're both watching for the first time. It's such a true blue Western for like most of the running time at this point. It's not like there's monsters and shit. Like in the beginning, sure, but then all this stuff happens, you forget about it, right?
Right. Which is, see, for me, I had that growing sense of dread, knowing that there's going to be a confrontation, and these guys have been hyped up as like.
See, I forgot about it completely, and so did she.
That's why this is a horror movie. Oh man, movies like that, like the whole time I was like, who's gonna die?
Right.
Who's gonna get kidnapped? What's gonna happen? I'm always such a fucking wreck because to me, like, see, if I was a cop, I would probably walk around and like some people get a lot of shit because they're bad cops, whatever. I would walk around with my hand on my gun 24/7 looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I'd be fucking paranoid. I could never survive in these worlds because I'd be so fucking paranoid.
Yeah.
You know, like I would probably also be alive because I would make sure I would never take any risks. But in these worlds, like I have watching these movies, I get so fucking tense because I'm always nervous. And this is what I'm nervous for.
So when this scene that you're about to describe in hopefully very vivid detail.
Super good detail.
So that happens.
good.
Basically, it's
So
happening.
good.
It's happening, and there's two things that are going on. Jessica's just screaming. She's, oh God, why no? And I am
And you know what's funny,
laughing.
too? It's happening to a character that we don't even care about.
No,
either.
yeah.
That's how affectionate.
But you can tell how much Kurt Russell cares about the character.
But the idea that he's kind of a throwaway.
Yeah.
Even then, you care so much.
Oh yeah.
That's how powerful.
Great performance too by this guy. Physical performance by this. Oh fuck. Anyway, so she's like screaming and just like, oh my God, why? You know, like, oh, why did that happen? You know, and I'm fucking laughing because I'm like, and I'm saying, I forgot. I'm sorry. Like I knew that the movie was gonna do something like this.
I was laughing at
some
first, I'm like,
point.
this is so bad, and then my laughter just turned into, oh, this isn't funny at all.
Yeah, and we're just screaming bloody murder. Anyway, so it was just kind of funny.
Okay.
She can't unsee that shit.
Once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
All right, go for it.
And I've watched it like 4 times now because I have to face the horror. I have to get over
I've
it.
only seen it twice now, and even the second time was fucking hard.
So
Butt naked, on his knees.
they got him on his knees, holding his arm back, holding his head. You know that Native Americans like to scalp people.
Yeah.
All
of them do, right? No.
Yeah. No. But I mean, like back in the old whatever.
Yeah.
I never really thought about like Dances with Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Like it kills it. They scalp someone, they killed them, and scalps them.
Right.
I never really thought about it like the actual physical, like you're just ripping someone's head off, or not head. You're just ripping someone's
Skin
scalp
off of their skull.
It's not actually like a death. I mean, it's a death sentence probably for infection, but it's not going to kill you.
Right.
And I just never thought about scalping. I mean, I don't think about scalping very often. It's not something that comes up. And I haven't watched like I said, Dances with Wolves makes me think about. They scalped in that movie, right? Mm-hmm. That's the last thing I could think of. I didn't really ever think about it. So when they scalp them, I'm just like,
Well, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Glorious Bastards.
yeah, it's different.
They fucking scalp them in Glorious Bastards.
Yeah. Either way, so they pull one of their not bone tomahawks, but they pull like a bone knife.
Yeah.
Which is as sharp. It is a scalpel.
Yeah.
Just slices him across the forehead, all nice, and just in pain, you know. It just starts to like.
Do you want to talk about what Kurt Russell's saying and stuff like that?
I'll get to it in a second.
Okay.
So he starts pulling the scalp back and slowly just like, you know, cutting away the skin off the head and kind of pulling it back. And oh God, that guy's head's coming. His scalp is just
it's the worst. It's essentially the worst scalping scene you've ever seen, right?
It's like graphic and slow.
It's graphic and slow. So you're already like, that would have been enough.
Yeah.
Like that was awful.
Because it's not like he ripped it back.
No, it was very slow and methodical.
Slow while using the knife to cut away the tendrils to make sure it doesn't stick to the skull.
Yeah.
And then Jesus Christ,
You need some help here?
he takes the scalp that he just pulled off the guy's head, kind of folds it up like it's, you know,
like a rolled up piece of paper.
Yeah, just crumples it up and shoves it in the guy's mouth all softly. And again, they're not angry. They're just
matter of fact.
They're very matter of fact.
They do this, you know.
They're just doing this
a few times a week.
Just gently pushes it in the guy's mouth. So now his mouth is full of his own hairy scalp.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
yeah, he's just screaming with because they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear this guy screaming.
And he took it like a champ.
Yeah.
He didn't scream like a bitch. He screamed a little bit of pain and just took it. He's out of it. So he takes the knife and puts it against the open part of his mouth and then uses the fucking palm of his other hand and just jams it in there.
No, they did a whole new thing. They had some like dedicated like fucking
like
spike.
Yeah, like
it was like a fucking railroad spike.
He railroad spiked the guy's scalp into his own mouth.
Yeah.
And the sound effect.
It was awful.
It's a little cheesy, but it's like crunch.
Yeah, you imagine it going into like the back of your throat.
Like the roof of his mouth.
Yeah.
And he does it twice.
Yeah.
He goes boom, boom.
Yeah. So now
and at this point, you're just.
Oh God! This is so bad. Oh, why? That's so cruel.
And you can tell,
Leave him
and this is one of
alone.
the things where he's in so much pain. He's just like, he's out of it.
Yeah.
But he's still like,
Yeah.
Again, let me.
Yeah. So if you think that the shock of that pain would like
And
keep him out of it,
so
what could bring him back in?
Like you said,
what if you were going delirious from pain for all of this, that your body and your brain start checking out? What could bring you back into reality in a really big way?
And the idea here is that, like you said, they're doing it so matter of fact. They're making Kurt Russell and Chicory just watch it.
Yeah.
And Chicory's turned away at this point. Yeah. Kurt Russell's like, I have to face the horror.
Yeah.
He starts saying to him, don't worry, boy. We're going to avenge you. The fucking cavalry's coming up from Gainesville.
Yeah.
We're going to murder all these savages.
Yeah.
We're going to get them all, you know. As they then turn him around,
two guys grab one foot,
grabs each leg and they hold him upside
down.
His shoulders are
by his
touching the
ankles.
ground. He's not suspended.
Yeah.
But they have him with the shoulder on the ground.
Yeah.
Legs
Spread eagle.
up. He's making a Y. He's doing the
They
beginning
did
of
a
Y.
Y with his legs.
He's doing synchronized swimming.
Yep.
YMCA.
Yes.
Y.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a partner, but he's doing swimming, I guess you could say. Synchronized swimming, but without synchronized. The big dude now he's got a Bone Tomahawk, one of the big ones, and proceeds to just smash that shit against his pelvis. A big overhand, like he's chopping wood.
Yeah.
One-handed.
Wishbone. Like a wishbone.
Right on his dick.
Yeah.
And then you...
Yeah, the fucking performance. Like I said, like this guy's like already like gone. He's so close to being unconscious from pain. Like he's delirious, and you'd be like, okay, surely whatever they do to him next, like he's not even gonna like know.
Yeah.
No, they hit him one time. He's oh god. the pain has brought me back to reality, and the horror.
Then you get another one. Whack.
Oh.
Now the blood's pouring down his back, down his butt crack,
down his butt crack, down his back.
So this is hit number 2. I kind of saw, and I think that was a real person. That didn't look like a fake person. That was like a real person. The way his butt cheeks were moving, like it looked like he was splitting apart at the butt crack.
Yeah. Well, that's what was happening.
And so the next hit is just whack, and this time he's done. Yeah. There's no more screaming at this point. He's done.
You hope he's dead. You really hope he is.
Or he's unconscious. He doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
The two other guys then proceed to pull the legs.
Yep.
Until, like a zipper. He starts splitting down the middle.
Yep.
And there's a fucking stump that's, I'm assuming, like his spinal column. That's like, it looks like it's the tailbone.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like shaking. Oh, and then I think
all of his entrails fall out all over the place.
No, they don't. I don't know if he cuts them. I think he like slices his stomach open. Yeah. The big guy just proceeds to kind of use his foot and just push his stomach and guts out onto the floor as he finally just rips open.
Yep. Pretty much the worst thing ever.
As you could watch and go, that's going to happen to me in a couple days.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so let's start thinking of ways to kill myself.
This is the entire podcast. It's just this scene.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to even talk about that. Fuck, we're going to cut the Tombstone out, and this is just it. Just this.
It is probably. I was trying to think about it. I think it's the worst death scene I've ever seen.
It's because it feels real.
Yeah, because it wasn't. Because I've seen stuff violent. I've seen stuff incredibly graphic. You know.
But you like laugh at it.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff it's almost a comedy or so over the top. They don't do it right. Nah, man, I was invested in this stuff. I'm invested in the story.
And we get to the people at the end. It's words. No words.
Anyway, it's bad.
Like I said, I won't even show my wife. And she's not like squeamish with this stuff, but I won't even let her see it. I described it to her.
I felt so bad. Like if I had known that was coming,
I described like I go. I was watching this movie last night and this thing happened, and she's like, "Why were you watching that?" Like it's like as if I described it like I was watching gore porn. You know, like I go, no, it wasn't meant to be. And then I thought about it, like, no, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
I wasn't getting off. It was a horrific part of the movie. Like I didn't describe any other part of the movie.
Yeah.
She just thought, what were you watching on the internet? Like no, it wasn't real. You know,
it's a part literally watching it the second time. I'm like, I know it's coming, and I'm like, oh,
it's coming or you're coming.
Oh no, I am not coming. Wouldn't it be a strange way to find out that sort of thing turns you on? No, it's like
it's as bad as we're describing.
Yeah,
it is. Fucking
it's just
horrible.
as bad as it sounds.
Let's go watch it.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm just like, fuck me. Like, I mean, I'm not in there, but who's going to mount the rescue at this point?
Who's going to mount the rescue at this point?
Well, no, but I mean, like, literally, like, you're Kurt Russell, you're Chicory, you're just like, this fucking sucks. And then the next scene is just literally like him, like, they obviously had a fire.
It's almost comical.
And he's just like chewing on the arm, like, yum, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know, so Patrick Wilson.
So Patrick Wilson's is now, this is when he awakens and goes, oh, I have a leg.
And this is all, it all happened for a reason. Because if he had actually kept pace with them or been with them the whole time or whatever, they all would just be dead.
So now he's going to mount his surprise attack. Which
right.
The rest of the movie, I mean, we could talk about it, but it's not as important anymore.
I love this stuff with Patrick Wilson.
No, I'm just saying, like, we got to the point, this is, the hero saves the day kind of thing, or does he? They mentioned there's 2 women. She mentions that there was 2 women. That's how they breed, right? Yeah. She says they're crippled and they're blind.
Right.
And they just impregnate him. I thought, okay, so they're just like...
Stumps.
No. They're crippled. I'm like, maybe they've got a broken leg, one of us got stumped, and they're blind.
Yeah.
I'll just skip to that part since we're already on the horror train.
The horror shit.
When they're on their way out and they see these 2, it's 2 9-month pregnant women who have their arms and their legs cut off at like the knee and the elbow. So no, they're not crippled. They're fucking mutilated. And they each have stakes driven into their fucking eyes.
Yeah.
So they're not blind. They have no eyeballs.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad too.
That's pretty awful.
And they're just like squirming.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on. I don't know if they can even hear probably. They probably fucking jam their ears full of shit. And they're just like super pregnant and stumpy and...
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Good on this guy for making an actually impactful, like gross, scary... It's not comical, it's rough.
And a credit to the movie too, because... that stuff's so bad, but you're so invested in the characters, and again, in the sincerity of their plot and their the stakes and everything for them, that it's not like you see all that and then like, well, how do you have like this romantic like reunion between like Patrick Wilson and the wife?
Well,
but it works. Like
so.
And Chicory's like kind of romantic like goodbye to
Okay, wait. So Patrick Wilson's on his way. He makes it to the ravine as well. He sees that all their gear was taken away, but there's still like a blanket there. He goes, I'm not going to this fucking shoulder length thing. I'm gonna go up the back door.
And he's just crawling.
Oh,
he's really just like crawling around.
His crutch is long, doesn't help him anymore. He fucking falls asleep on his crutch at one point. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the doctor gave him a bottle of opium tincture. Yeah. He said, drink it, don't pass out. So he's on painkillers. So he's kind of out of it. He falls asleep on his crutch, standing up, and then like snaps awake and pulls his gun out, like thinking he heard a noise. He's fucking out of it.
Yeah.
He at one point goes and sleeps like on the edge of a ravine, not a ravine, like a little river.
Catches wind or whatever.
Yeah, he falls asleep in the sun on the edge of a cliff and has his hat over his face. You see 2 of the fucking things have found him. The troglodytes have found him. They kind of sneak up on him. He's moved from his position where he fell asleep, where now his hat is on a rock, and he's laying next to it. Troglodyte shoots the arrow. He has a bow and arrow.
Right.
Shoots it at his hat, thinking that it's his fucking head.
Right.
That little fucking arrow noise wakes him up. He just wakes up, boom, boom, shooting the gun. He shoots the little one that was like has the tomahawk that's gonna kill him. Kills that one. Goes to shoot the one with the bow and arrow. Now maybe you tell me.
I think he shoots the bow actually.
No, not at first. He shoots him and you see blood splurt out of his forehead, I assume.
Yeah.
But there's no like damage there, so I don't know where he actually shot them. His next shot, he fucking shoots him. The troglodyte's just like, God damn you.
Yeah.
And pulls back another bow and arrow. Then he shoots again, and he shoots the bow and arrow right in the middle, and it breaks. And then he starts, the guy's, Either ways, there's that shooting bow and arrow. He gets mad, and he looks for the Bone Tomahawk. He goes to pick it up and come after Wilson. He's reloading his gun from bullets in his pocket. Gets one bullet in and shoots him at the last second.
Yeah.
This is where we have this conversation of like, what the fuck happened here? So he's looking at the dead body, like he's kind of crawling over it, and he goes, oh, jewelry. Like he says, like, what is that, jewelry?
Yeah.
I thought that he was wearing a necklace. That when he pulled the trigger of the gun, he shot that piece of jewelry, which is the thing that they use to make the howl sound, right? It's kind of like a whistle.
No, what you're saying, you're wrong.
I know. It looks like a jaw thing you would put in your mouth to make a whistle sound.
Duck whistle or something like that. Or...
it's kind of a weird shape.
Yeah.
And it's jammed in the thing's throat. And I'm thinking that's where he first shot him.
Right.
That's where the blood splurts out from. Yeah. It jammed it into his throat.
Okay.
He proceeds to take a pocket knife out. For what reason? I mean, we understand it, but like, what the fuck was he doing this? He proceeds to just cut thing's throat open and pull the piece of jewelry, he calls it, out. Mm-hmm. And the other hypothesis being body modification. They have put this in themselves.
Well, I think there's 2 different things you could say here. You would either say that it's some kind of strange body modification. They put those in them when they're kids or something. It just grows into the larynx
like the skin's
or whatever.
Kind of like grown around it.
I mean, it's literally like they probably can't talk. Like they just communicate through...
Because it allows them to make a whistle howl when they want to, because it's in their throat.
Or these guys have been fucking each other and doing all these things. They almost seem like a completely separate bloodline than like everybody else. They're not even human at this point, and that's actually something they've evolved over like however
Oh,
many...
I see what you're saying. Like it's almost like the scene from Jurassic Park when Alan Grant finds the Velociraptor thing and he makes the noise by blowing through it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Well, I just mean it's something that, like, I imagine these things are ancient. Like, they've been, you know, like, as long as Native Americans, like, have some kind of oral history or whatever of their time in the States, they know about these boogeymen.
They're the boogeymen to them,
And, you know, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's just something, you know, like, they could be like, if they're like that, then they're like monsters. If it's body modification, then you have to accept that, you know, these are still just like Native Americans we're basically killing.
They're just crazy ones.
And
but they're cannibals, so I mean, they might be, Little League might be crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, whatever.
This is the only scene in the movie where the dead body, the puppet that they used, looked really bad.
Yeah.
Like the puppet's face was like, that's a bad puppet, but whatever.
So he's very smart. He gets the idea that he's gonna take this like whistle thing out of the throat.
Oh, and the way he cuts it out and he's just jamming the knife in there.
Yeah. That's what made me think that it couldn't be body modification. I'm looking at it the way he's taking it out of the throat.
He shot it into his throat. Like the bullet pushed it into his body.
Right.
I don't know. And then he's crawling and he's like
using it to like
he's like
draw out more.
He's in a spot where he goes, you know what? I don't know if I want to go any farther, and he starts to blow in it, and it's got like guts in it and shit, which is kind of why I was like, I'm not sure if it was shot in, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like huh? He like, you know, dry heaves, and it's pretty gross. And then he whistles to it, and it makes a weird sound, and then one of them comes running, and then it goes, oh shit, you're not one of my troglodyte brothers, and he boom shoots him. So that's 3 down. We're down to.
So this is smart filmmaking. When you have the thing where Kurt Russell's asking how many are there, whatever, and then you start watching the characters, like you start doing that, like you
start counting how many are left.
Okay, now there's 7. Okay, now there's 6. You know.
So at this point, I think there's 6.
Yeah. Well, then we
6
have
or 7. There's 13, I think.
The poison.
There's like 7. They're back at the. So how did he have the tincture? Did they have 2 bottles of tincture?
Yeah, he had taken some. They didn't leave the whole thing with him. They put
that's right. The chicory.
He said take it with you just in case my wife needs it.
Oh yeah, so they split it in half. So they each have some of this opium stuff. Yeah. They have the ingenious plan of, okay, you got the tincture on you? I'm gonna pretend to drink it.
Yeah.
As if I'm drinking out of a flask.
Right.
And the troglodytes are gonna go like,
hey, I want that. What is that?
I want that cool alcohol, you know? And it fucking works. He's like, no, it's mine. And they're like, they pretend to fight over it in the cell, like him and Chicory are like, I want to drink some. And
so like Patrick Wilson's wife doesn't get to do a whole lot in the movie, but she actually does have that kind of cool scene. She's like, right after that happens, she goes, the first one's nothing's gonna happen. The second one's gonna be out cold for like 9 hours or whatever. Third one's dead.
Yeah.
She just knows that from
because she's the nursey doctor one, and it works because he's like, give it to me, and he's like, no, it's mine. And then the guy pulls out a fucking knife, and he's like, okay, here you go, you know. And then he's like, smells it for a while, pours a little bit out. Yeah. Like you're like, is it gonna work? Is he gonna drink it? And then one of them drinks some. The second one drinks a whole bunch. The third one's like, no, throw it down, don't drink it. And then of course, one of them dies,
throws it into the fire pit. That's in the middle of
big,
this little...
like the warm, smoldering pit.
Yeah.
And then, she's like, one of them's going to die. And then one of them will be knocked out for like a day. Yeah. So time passes and they drag in the dead one and they put up against a cell. And they obviously go, you did this. Yeah. Like they realize it. Yeah. So now there's 6 left.
I don't know.
There's 6 left. It actually makes sense. The math makes sense. There's 6 left. They start to open up the cell because they're like, okay, Kurt Russell, we're going to kill you now. You'll kill this guy. As he opens up, he tries to push his way out and like, fight. I'm gonna knock one of them loose. And then the chicory tries to come out and they're like, no. He goes, okay. Like he just very basically was like, I can't do shit. I'm an old man. He tries to help, but the guy just like kicks him back in. This is when I like the Bone Tomahawk being surgical. He kind of knocks Kurt Russell out and he holds him on the ground and he just takes one of the Bone Tomahawks and just like lightly rubs it against his
ribcage,
like his stomach, the side of his rib cage, and it just like whoop, skin just opens, like nothing.
Yeah, and it doesn't even bleed really because it's such a clean. Yeah, it's such a clean cut that just
a little bit of blood.
Yeah,
he pulls that flask that's been sitting in the hot fire embers and just opens up the flap and puts the hot metal flask in there and just closes it back up.
Gotta give him credit for creativity, man.
Yeah. These troglodytes
get bored. Like, have you killed anybody this way yet? Like, no, I haven't seen that shit. We'll have to do that again.
It makes you think about people that are violent, like sociopath like that. Like, do they not worry about pain and death for them? Like, they just have no feeling. They just don't care. And it just immediately, it's burning, and he tries, pulls it out real fast, and then the troglodyte has his fucking gun.
Yeah, it's his like Winchester rifle.
And God, what is he?
He's trying to figure out how to use it. So,
he knows how to use it. He had hit him. That's right. He had hit him in the face. He had knocked him down with it.
Yeah.
Then he just literally nonchalant points it at his
belly.
His wrist.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Like he kind of points it at him.
Yeah.
And then he moves it over to his hand, his wrist, and just fucking blows point blank range right into like his wrist.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ow, obviously that fucking hurt. And then he points, and he's trying to say something, he's trying to do something, and then he points it at his crotch.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, no.
Yeah,
This movie...
Kurt. No, not Kurt.
Yeah, also, this movie has, like, gone to places that I'm not... Please don't blow his dick off. And, of course, he doesn't know how to reload it, so he click.
Or rechamber it.
Yeah, he doesn't understand how the gun works. And you're like, oh. And then Chicory's like, ha, what a dumbass.
Yeah.
Doesn't know how to actually reload the gun.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's...
As if the troglodyte could actually hear Chicory, he kind of plays with it. Oh, like this?
Yeah. But he's trying to figure it out, and he finally figures out that the chamber, you can, click it, and at this point you hear bang. Oh, gun fired. Someone got killed.
Yeah.
Someone killed Patrick Wilson killed a troglodyte. The two that are in the room, one goes running. You hear bang, that one falls down. So now you're down to 4. The big one and 3 we haven't seen. And Kurt Russell's on the ground with the foot on his throat going, he's got a gun.
Yeah.
Don't walk in here. He's got a gun. And he takes one shot, and then Patrick Wilson just comes in and fucking just shoots him. Like pretty, cleanly.
Yeah.
And at this point,
well, no, then Kurt Russell fucking decapitates the guy
because he falls down after the gunshot.
Yeah, so Kurt Russell gets to get a little revenge action.
Yeah, gets the Bone Tomahawk and just fucking. It's like Shaun of the Dead when
he goes to town.
Just bam, 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 and just head goes off. I forgot about that actually.
Yeah, it's a cool moment.
So now at this point, he's reunited with his wife, Chicory. They kind of break him out, and
so there's still a couple roaming around.
He says there's 3 left.
Right.
And Kurt Russell says, I'm done.
I'm done.
Just
give me the rifle.
Yeah. I'll take out the last remaining 3 when they come. Right. After they heard the commotion, they'll come running. I'll take them out.
Right.
And you're like, no, come on, Kurt.
And it's a fucking sad scene. And Chicory, they have their last moment. He asks Chicory, could you please say goodbye to my wife?
Or say,
oh God, I'm going to cry. I fucking cried I forgot. He says, say goodbye to my wife. I'll say hello to yours.
He says, tell her I love her. He goes, tell her I loved her. And he goes, you say, I'll do the same for you. Yeah.
Fuck. It's so sad. It's so good. I don't know if we mentioned that or not, but he said Chicory's wife. But he clearly loved her and he misses her.
He visited her grave. That's what he was doing that night. He was visiting her grave that night that he saw David Arquette.
That's probably what Patrick Wilson calls him a dumb and saying, oh, that's okay. That's what my wife called me. It felt kind of nice.
Yeah. And then they're Wilson still got a fucked up leg and Kurt Russell's done for. He's like, I can't make it back. I'm too injured.
But one last great moment. They're on their way out.
That's when they see the 2 pregnant women that are just like,
oh yeah, God. To see that shit on their way. Last look at the horror house, and they're on their way out, and Chicory kind of then you hear. Because you said how many troglodytes left?
So as they're leaving, he still has his 6-shooter, and Chicory picks up a rock.
Yeah.
As I'm gonna.
Because they hear they hear the gunshot.
Well, no. There's 3 of them left. He picks up the rock, going, I'm gonna be the tail end of the party. Right. Us 3. I'll guard the back. I got a rock just in case. Yeah. And as they're pretty far away, you hear boom, boom, boom.
But not right after each other. There's enough time in between. At least the second and the third shot, where you're like. Oh, there's one left. Did he get? Oh, yeah, good. One more gunshot. Right. Okay.
And Chicory looks back, and he has that sullen look, and he's just like
he smiles.
Well, because
he knows that he got him.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's like, this is his actual goodbye to the sheriff. He did his duty, and then he drops the rock because he's like, there's no threat.
Right.
He got the last 3. Yeah. They're not coming after us.
But that's all good old Kurt. Good old Kurt Russell. I knew he would do it. I knew he's the best. Yeah. I don't need this rock. Good for. That's such a good movie.
And that is the end. And and then I guess they somehow make it back fucking days worth of walking with a broken leg and gangrene and
yeah, it'll turn out okay.
The sequel turns out they all fucking died on the way back, right? Yeah. But they saved her.
It's a great movie. If you haven't seen this movie, I hope did you just listen to this whole fucking thing as described out loud? I mean, if you were never gonna watch it, maybe that'll make you want to watch it.
Even if we describe that scene, still go watch it. It's still gonna be fucking terrifying.
It's still gonna fuck you up.
Even knowing what's gonna happen.
And anyway, like I said, the real reason to watch this movie is the dialogue. Listening to the script ring out with these great actors is a real treat.
Yeah, like I said, the only reason we wanted to even do this is because we felt like it's not a super publicized, marketed movie, and it's actually really fucking good for an indie movie.
So I'm sure it's on demand and different ways you can watch it or whatever. But if you happen to have Amazon Prime, you can just watch this for free. It's streaming for free. So You have literally no excuse if you already have that set up.
Unless you don't have Amazon Prime.
Also, I mean, if you don't have Amazon Prime, you'll have to watch it on demand. You can rent it or whatever.
I got it through Netflix, like the Blu-ray. So
if you happen to have Amazon Prime, stream that shit.
Yeah, that's Bone Tomahawk. It's 2 bones up.
2 bones up.
3 rib bones up. Yeah. And so you drunkenly yelled at everyone on Amazon.
Oh right. So I when I watched it the second time, I was having a few drinks. It was late at night, and then when I was done watching it, I was like, I wonder what, because I was streaming it on Amazon, and I wanted to know what the reviews were now that it's been on Amazon Prime for a while. And I saw the average, it was 3 out of 5 stars. And you probably saw, I was texting you all night. I know you probably saw it all
I was
morning.
in bed. I got it in the morning.
You didn't see any of that shit, but you would have seen a text from me just like, 3.5 fucking stars. What the hell is wrong with people? Like, I'm incredibly angry. And so I just go, I need to see this shit. And I go down there, I look, and I'm like, I need these 1 star. Because it's literally like 5 stars and 1 stars. Yeah. And so I'm like, who are these fucking 1-star fuckers? And I start going through there, and I'm just getting so mad, and I'm drunk, and it's late at night. I just start going in there and replying to everybody's reviews. And I started doing all of them like personalized things to what they were saying, but then eventually at some point I was like, well, I'm going to do every single one. I'm going to go through these. There's like, I don't know, 100 or something like that. And I'm just going to find something I'm going to copy and paste in each thing. And so I check, of course.
Yeah, you're not going to get banned at all.
In truth, that's why I was texting you too. It's like, I'm probably going to lose my Amazon account, but I don't give a shit. Fuck these people. I'm so mad.
See, I thought you were just doing a couple of them now, and you're like telling me like, oh no, I was going to copy and paste into
tons. I did tons.
I don't need to know the number.
I mean, I'm not going to read them all here, but we'll put them, maybe I'll put them on the website or whatever. Like, you put them as a slideshow. People can read them if they want to. It's funny, too, because they started out funny, but then, like, towards the end, I started saying, like, Did
they just evolve into, I would scalp you and turn you upside down?
Basically, like, I think, like, one of them was, like, I can't remember, shit, I gotta find it actually. I gotta like read a couple of these because they started getting so fucking mean towards the end. Like I started to tell Jessica and she's like, Jesus.
While you look for that, I'll just move us on to, since we're doing a triple feature, we'll do Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Here's our review of Hateful Eight. It's really fucking good. Go see it. All right, that's Hateful Eight. Also, you get to hear about Big Black Dick in that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but you've already heard about it.
It's so good. If you don't like that, you just don't appreciate character movies, or I don't know what to even say there. It's just, I don't like Tarantino because whatever. Like, no, it's a movie with people talking for 3 hours. To me, that's super fucking interesting. That's not boring at all. I don't need a crazy action, especially when the dude gets his face blown off. That's pretty cool. You looking for it over there?
I found a couple of funny ones, but I wanted to find this one that was really, really fucking...
Did you, like, screenshot them all?
If I wrote something...
So you had them ready at the whim if you needed to, like, look at them again?
No, it was more... Yeah. Well, because if I thought it was going to be funny to have these later to show people or to, like, talk about it. But I only take a picture of them if it was, like, a...
Super good.
If it was something that I didn't just write. So the thing I wrote over and over again was just say it's the official opinion of the backup deputy that you are a dumb imbecile, because I thought that was cute. And that's something...
Well, while you look at that, I'll also say I recently, just for the hell of it, I watched Tron and Tron Legacy. Tron's a stupid fucking movie. Tron Legacy is actually pretty good. You don't like it, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, here we go. So this guy says, 1 star. Who wrote this Western, in quotations? I only gave it 1 because there isn't a negative. I said, when there isn't an option to give something negative stars, you could always just cut yourself. So like that's like the point. That's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm starting to like, instead of getting like funny with it, I'm like actually getting like nihilistic and just like, fuck humanity. Why? How can you not like this movie? What is wrong with you? This is so good. Anyway, but most of them were just more like
quotes from the movie in a way,
or just like cute, like funny, like somebody misspelled something or something like that.
Oh, I saw you. Yeah, you did the one where you mentioned something about, what the fuck was it? He misspelled a word and you just went at him for some stupid shit. Oh, there's no, this movie, yeah, there are no socks in this movie. Because they tried to write "it sucks" and they said something about "it socks." She goes, "What are you talking about? There's no socks in this movie."
Oh man. Yeah, here we go. They said it's watchable, but a lot of people really enjoy this. I found it lacked production quality, and ultimately the story fell short. There are some funny moments and definitely some sock horror. He says it's some sock horror. I don't even know what he was trying to say.
He was trying to say suck horror.
So yeah, I said nobody in this movie wore socks. I'll put these up. I think people will get a kick out of them. I literally have like 20.
I don't know how you're going to do that. How that post is even going to work. They're just going to be like...
I'll put it on the website.
Whatever.
I can post them as JPEGs.
All right. Well, that's our well over 2 hour Kurt Russell triple feature Western podcasty review.
Probably the next time I guess you guys will hear us, we'll be talking about Leprechaun.
So there's 7 Leprechaun movies. 7 of them. If you know
All
us,
right.
yeah, we did the Hellraiser stuff. Now we're doing Leprechaun. We're stupid idiots. Go see Bone Tomahawk. If you haven't seen Tombstone, go see that too. It's good.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one, go see Bone Tomahawk. That one's
Yeah, I mean,
special. It's special.
yeah, if I'm being honest here, I mean, like, Tombstone's great. It was fun to watch. It was nostalgic. It's a good movie. But, like, Bone Tomahawk is a fucking good movie. It's a better movie than Tombstone.
It's a very non-Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
It's a good little art house
Yeah.
film, I guess you could say.
All right. That enough?
That's enough for me.
All right.
Catch
Good night
you
out there.
later. Good night. Bye.
Bye.
See you later. See ya. Bye.
See ya.
Nice. Cool.
Good night.
Great.